Welcome back to the Quiet On Set podcast. This week, we sent Kevin and Ines to the 50th edition of the Gent Film Festival. Kevin caught how many 50-something movies there?
I've done 48 screenings, but I think I've watched like 52, 51 movies.
Very impressive. And I think you're still watching some on the online platform. We'll tag them at the end of this recording. And Ines, you also caught like around 30 yourself?
Yeah, 28 to be exact.
And combine that with the films that I caught in Cannes, the films that Kevin and I caught in Venice, and everything in between, we have an extensive overlook of what Ghent had to show at its celebratory 50th edition. We'll go over all of the sections, but before we do that, we'll talk about the top 5 that the two of you had from the festivals, and then all of the movies one by one. But first up, well, welcome to the two of you, Kevin and Ines.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And yeah, for Kevin, there's some people who might have already caught a very extensive 3-hour-long recap of the Venice Film Festival. You're already familiar with him. I don't think we need to hear more from you as an introduction. People can just listen to you for like half of that recording talk. But Ines, it's your first time here. Maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself.
Actually, I just finished my master's degree in film and television studies here at the University of Ghent. And my interest in film actually started by my love for acting. So that's how it started. And I went to the film festival and I just watched as many movies as I could. And that's pretty much.
That's essentially it. I mean, you both graduated. I think Kevin also just graduated, but not with the same degree, though. I think, right? Kevin, what was your?
No, she did film and TV studies, and I have done communication sciences, media, and culture.
So, as recent graduates, we'll also have the information link below if you want to reach out, and you might have a position after this. I can vouch as this can be the thing, where you put down like a reference. This is the reference right now. Put the timestamp of the video right here. But you'll find that as well, all of the lists as well, everything they did at the festival. But with another festival behind us, and with us I mean you, because I didn't attend this in person. I wasn't in Ghent.
Boo!
We'll basically go over the festival, and maybe as an introduction to some people, they might know Venice, they might know Sundance, they might know Cannes, but they're not familiar with Ghent, and it's been around for 50 years. Could you give us maybe like the gist of what this festival is about? And
Do you want to try as your first festival experience, Ines?
You can go first. Maybe I'll.
I have gone to Ghent since 2017, and it's a very it's not like Cannes where you have to go to many cinemas, different cinemas. So it's very much like one central theater, Kinopolis Ghent. Some screenings are in others, smaller theaters, but they're mostly at Kinopolis. And Ghent is, a very beautiful city. It gets compared a lot with Bruges. So if you intend to ever visit Belgium, those two are always the ones to go. Even the guests over the years who I've seen at Ghent always say it's a very beautiful city to visit. From Ryan Johnson to Ken Loach, many guests have said that. It's also a fun thing because the guests who arrive there, it's not as big as Venice or Cannes, but you got a lot of good guests. And when you see them, it's a red carpet. It's a bit more intimate because, there isn't a whole bunch of crowd like you and I saw at Venice. That shit was crazy sometimes with Jacob Elordi there.
Yeah.
So it's a much more personal one, but they've been around for 50 years. Funny enough, the opening, so like whenever a movie starts, they play a certain clip of a guy who wants to film his bird at the first film festival, because he apparently was born during a film screening at the first film festival, which is a fun clip to watch, but not to see 50 times like Ines and I saw. Like, you see this woman like yelling, and like, there's a doctor. Like, it's a bit crazy to see every time. So, but it's fun. It's a fun film festival to go to every year. They have always good movies from Cannes, Berlinale, some from Venice, but they also have some world premieres and original movies. So always happy to go there.
So last year I went there for the first time because I was studying in Ghent, and my professors obviously were like, you guys should watch as much movies as you can. And what I really, really like about this film festival is that there are screenings at several like small cinemas, and I love these ones. They're so intimate, and I miss that a bit in my city where I'm from. We have like one small cinema, but I like these cinemas that have like a lot of history. And also what Kevin said, it feels so intimate. It's not a big huge festival, and that's what I like, that you can actually you feel like you can get to talk to the directors and everything, because they just sit with you in the film fest cafe. So that's what I really, really liked about the festival. So yeah,
I think that used to be the charm about like Gun, for example, like especially in the 80s and 90s, they had like a lot of these parties that everyone had access to. And the more and more it gets like bigger and commercialized and everything, that's just not really happening anymore. And it's nice that like an ongoing, long-standing festival still has that kind of close-knit culture where you get to touch base with some of your favorite filmmakers. That's nice. And I think Kevin has at the end of the recap a couple of things to show us and some stories to tell about the people that he met. So stay tuned for that. You can also skip ahead if you want to. Timecodes are linked below. But let's get into your top 5, your highlights of the festival, and let's start with your number 5 spot. Whoever wants to go first. I don't want to pick the
ladies first. You know.
What a gentleman.
Okay, so my number 5 was The Holdovers. It was kind of refreshing to have to watch a feel-good movie after all these, how do I say it, serious movies, serious topics and everything. It felt good to just lay back and watch a movie that the story plays out during Christmas break, which I liked. I liked the Christmas atmosphere and everything. And even though it deals with like serious subjects, and the leading role, Paul, for example, I mean, he's lonely, but I feel like he was okay being lonely. And those topics mixed up with the humor and just the feel-good element, I really, really liked. So yeah, that's my number 5, The Holdovers.
My number 5 is Killers of the Flower Moon. You know, it's Scorsese, honestly, at his best. Let's be honest. I feel like I was watching like another movie from, that's at the same height as, The Godfather and all of that. I was like, oh shit, this is again like a master at its height. It was my last film. I didn't see it at Ghent, because Ghent had a late entry, which was one screening of The Killer of the Flower Moon, which basically came out 5 days later. So I didn't actually see it at Ghent, but it's included in here and it deserves its place. 4. It's The Holdovers. Like Ines said, it's honestly the most comfy movie I have seen at Ghent. It's like, it's snowy, it's cozy. It's everything you want it to be. Alexander Payne's best? Honestly, yeah. Yeah, okay. I'll say yeah.
So my number 4 was Inshallah a Boy. It's from this Jordan, I don't know, Jordan, do you say it like that in English? Jordanië. Jordan director. I think it's his debut film. It was just an interesting movie to me because we don't really get to see as many movies from the Middle East, I feel like. And it brings up the inequality between men and women when it comes up to inheritance after the leading role loses her husband, and she fakes actually a pregnancy, because if she would get a boy, that means that she would get the entire house instead of her brother-in-law. I thought it was very interesting theme. The actress was great, and I am for sure Amjad Al-Rashid. I'm for sure keeping up with this director, because I feel like he's gonna bring us some more interesting movies. And also Muna Hawa, the leading actress. Great, amazing. It was so nice to see.
Yeah, we covered this a while back. I think in Gun it premiered at the Critics Week. I unfortunately didn't catch it, but Lachlan did, and I think he also was saying that the lead performance was really stellar. So yeah, glad to see it. Hopefully, it gets a release soon as well, because it's one of the smaller films amongst some of your highlights. Which, speaking of release dates, I guess Belgium got a late release date for this film because it premiered at the festival, but it was already out in some other surrounding countries there. But you have a shared number 3 spot, and that's
You want to say it at the same time? Like 3, 2, 1. Past lives. Yeah.
That was great. Do you need to add anything, or are we just moving on to the number 2 spot?
Let's talk about it later, honestly. Past lives is amazing.
Okay.
Your number 2, Ines.
My number 2, Poor Things. So actually, personally, I'm not really a huge fan of like surrealistic movies and all this genre. So from the beginning, I was like, everything is so weird about this. But then, to be honest, like, it made me curious. The weirdness made me curious, and when I got used to the weirdness, I started to really, really like it. I laughed so much, and I have to say that Emma Stone she is, I don't know what to say because I can't describe it, how amazing she is. She did everything in that movie. She played so many different characters, actually, because she had to play a small child until a full-grown woman and everything. So it was really good. The only thing I have to say is, because English is not my first language, there were some for me personally, some words used that I don't really know. So with the subtitles, it was hard sometimes to keep up. So when I would watch this movie at home, I would pause it because I want to know every word because it's so good. So that's the only thing, but that's a personal issue. So
Poor Things is actually my number 1 at Venice, because let's just stay on topic, right? And it's also my favorite at Ghent. I've said in our Venice recap, it's the screenplay. It's such a literary great screenplay because you have to go from baby talk to a very academic, poetic dialogue. But that's also the difference, right? We're watching all of these movies with sometimes English subtitles, but mostly Dutch subtitles. So some things might get in translation. I am lucky to have gone to Venice, where the subtitles are in English. So it's very much one-on-one, the dialogue. So, but yeah, Poor Things is fantastic. We'll talk about it later. Which means my second movie was of my second favorite was Perfect Days. I have rewatched it at the film festival. I've seen it twice. I love it so much. Koji Yakusho, the main lead, would be my best actor of this film festival. He is bloody brilliant of it. I could go to the whole movie just for the last 2 minutes of just his performance. It's honestly just stellar, and it's definitely my top 5 of this year too.
Yeah, it's one of those. Well, he also won Best Actor in Gun, so if he doesn't obviously won't get nominated for this at the Oscars or any other bigger place. At the first premiere, he did get that reward that he definitely deserves. And Ines, you're number 1. There's another overlap possibly here.
Yeah, Perfect Days. I'm just gonna add up on the last 2 minutes. I mean, I still get chills when I think about it. Yeah, I'm like one of those people when I'm like in a sad mood, I'm listening to sad music to make me even feel like make myself even more sad. I want to get like all the sadness out of myself, and now I feel like I want to watch those last 2 minutes. The next time I'm having like I'm in a sad mood, I'm gonna watch those last 2 minutes of that movie. It's so
a good one. I do the same with Aftersun. Recently, someone tweeted like a clip from Aftersun of like one of the ending moments. I was like, this is emotional assault. Like, this is not fair. It will draw tears out of me, and it's not fair. It should be condemned.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I sent you that clip too.
Yeah,
you said like
well, it happened to me separately. It's been multiple ongoing cases of this being used against me. But yeah, if you're interested in the full list of everything that they caught, I think Kevin, your list also combines all of the overlap from other festivals. So there's like 73 movies or something like that on your ranked list. A lot to go through. There'll be link below, and while you're already scrolling down there on whatever platform you are, please leave a rating for the podcast as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or just subscribe on the YouTube channel. Helps us out to get into these festivals, to send people there, and to get more screeners. So ultimately, we get to talk about more movies, which is what this is all about. But let's actually get to those movies. And by your request, Kevin, you actually wanted to bring up the short films first. There was a section called 2x25 or
two times
25,
25, yeah.
which my limited math capabilities, like, not my strongest suit. I would say that's 50, and that's also coinciding with the number of this edition of the festival, so maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I'm no detective or anything.
So before every movie at Gent, they attached one of the short films that was made in a project called 2x25. So Gent is also a very music focused film festival. World Soundtrack Awards, the whole bamboozle is there. They even dedicated one performance to music in video games. So like the guy from God of War, composer of The Last of Us was there. I didn't go to it, but I heard it was a great show. So they they asked 25 composers to make a piece of music, and they sent it to 25 directors, and they had to make a short film about that. So every screening, one of those short films would be attached to the movie, sometimes of the directors that were there. Both Ines and I agreed most of them were crap. Or it's just like, we're sitting there, we've seen some of these shorts like a few times, and we're kind of done with this, right? But we both agree one short film stood out above the rest, which is
The Cigarettes.
The Cigarette by Anthony Chen, who's also the director of Breaking Ice. He was also there, and he said like, oh, it's the first time I'm going to see this short on the big screen. So, and it's honestly one of the short movies that actually feels, like it has something to say, and it isn't just like, kind of like, it's kind of derogatory to say this, but like stock footage for the music, but like it's kind of a bad way to say it. But The Cigarette was like, oh, this is a very good story with good music. So those are the ones. I do have some other short films I will quickly say. Pleiades, or Going Home from Jacqueline Lansu with the music of the composer from The Last of Us was very good, but it was a short we saw 6 times, which is the space one. Ines, I know you hated that one after a while. Zanke's Out of Jungle short film is also very good. Then we have Drift, which is Anthony N.T., a Belgian director, who with music of Howard Shore, the same guy from Lord of the Rings. Like it was this big of a project, you have to know. And the last one I have is Fly from Jessica Hope Woodward. Also a very, very good short. So those are just the movies I wanted to say, and you can check them out. They're just on YouTube, on the Film Fest Gent website as well. So if you feel, like the good short films I've just told them, go see those.
Yeah, we'll link the playlist for that in the description as well if you want to go check that out. I think Gent is really on the forefront compared to some other festivals that we recently did coverage for. ZFF in Zurich. Here, that are really established in, like, they have a letterbox page, they do lists, their website page is really well laid out. I feel like they got a grip on how to do this stuff, and it really shows.
Their social media game is good, very good too.
And I think that's important for festivals, and some of the festivals are just not as great as others. And I feel like from what I've seen, not attending Gent, but just seeing it, I think they do a pretty good job at that. But the opening film of the festival was one that Kevin and I caught back in Venice, and it was we were discussing it a whole bunch. Didn't get the warmest reception here, and it is a Belgian film as well. It's not the one that got submitted for the Oscars, but probably wouldn't have had a shot there anyways. But Ines, you're the one who hasn't talked about this one yet. What did you think of Holly?
How do I say this in a polite manner? Just I just simply didn't get it. It wasn't my thing. It was weird to me. I just didn't get it. The only thing I can say that the actress who played Holly did a very good job, but just the story and everything that went with it, it was weird to me. And also what I already told Kevin, I am so done with Belgian movies always being played at schools. We see schools all the time. The stories are always based at school, teenagers and everything. I mean, we got to do something else, something different now. So I'm sorry, I'm not really positive because it's just personally not my thing.
It's fair. You're not alone with that. I think a lot of people felt that way. It was just like surprisingly, one of Kevin's favorites out of Venice. I mean, I liked it quite a bit as well, but yeah.
I believe it was my number 10 at Venice.
And he watched like 57 movies, so it's pretty high.
Pretty good, yeah.
It's a bit of a perspective change, right? Because Holly, you can watch it as a kind of superhero movie, and I kind of got it from that aspect, while some other people watched more from a social commentary aspect, which was also a bit of the discourse at Gent. You know, this movie doesn't have a 3.0. I still believe it's 2.9 on Letterboxd, with only like 900 people watched, but still, just to get like the gist of it. But again, I like a lot of things about Holly. Sure, it slipped down my rankings at Gent, maybe a bit impacted by the negative discourse, but I still love a lot of things about it. I love the main actress in the movie. I loved her friend. I think it has some great shots. Sure, some stupid scenes, like when there's a moment when she gets like robbed, but if you know, which I think is a bit stupid, but I do think still it has one of the best ending shots. We've talked about that one with the sunlight on the trees, which make it look like a rain of fire. I do still love a lot of things about it. How is it age in your brain, Ewan?
I think it's fine. I just I feel like the Christian undertones, to me, that's just like the reception that was bad in Venice. We kind of attributed to that, but I feel like there's a lot more that goes into like not vibing with the film as much, because it is kind of an edgy film, and it is in a genre that's done quite well, quite often, with like the setting and everything. So it can feel quite trite, after one too many goes. But I still feel like it is done very well in the performances, and especially like the cinematography I really liked in it, which like stood out above the rest. But yeah, let's talk about the gala premieres. There's a whole bunch of them. Probably like I'd say the biggest categories in Ghent, or I was a bit confused because some of the competition also had like really big movies in there. So
yeah, I believe the gala premieres. I believe gala premieres are like 35 films, and like the official selection is like 43. So it's not the biggest category, but it's the most we've seen. Those were also like the movies that had the most press screenings, which Ines and I attended. So the first one I'm seeing on the list is I don't know if you've seen it. I don't think only I've seen it. 20,000 Species of Bees, which is honestly so like we didn't see a lot of bad movies at Ghent. There were some atrocious ones, but the tier that was the thickest was just like very good, just solid movies, just 3.5 out of 5. And 20,000 Species of Bees is one of those. It's a very good movie about a family that goes to their grandparents, the suburban area. I don't know in which country it is. It's Spain. Yeah, it's Spain, because it's at the border of Spain and France. This family goes there. The father is left behind because he has to do work. And it's about this little boy who actually kind of is struggling with his identity, his gender identity, that is. He feels like a girl. The family is kind of like not sure about that. It's like, no, don't do that, or other things. And on top of child performances, I know Ewan and I talked about a lot of child performances. That might sound weird.
It doesn't. It's fine. It's just like it's a running gag in the podcast that Lachlan always says that I hate child performances because it's something that I pointed out once and now it's just become my trademark thing, and it has bled into the conversations with Kevin and I as well. But that's why. Yeah.
But you wouldn't hate this one because the boy who plays the kid in this movie is absolutely phenomenal. There's also an aspect of art, because the mother is making statues with beeswax, so you got that whole thing. But again, the film is very beautiful. It's just solid. It isn't great. It isn't bad. It's just like one of those good kids movies. Not really a kids movie, but it's just one of those movies about kids. So yeah, I recommend it. It has a lot of good reviews. So yeah,
I mean, it already played here in Switzerland, and I think on some platforms you might be able to get it already. So you don't even have to wait until it releases. The next film, About Dry Grasses, did either of you catch it? I don't remember.
I saw it. Yeah, Ines didn't want to go to those 2 hours.
It's not 3 hours. It's 3 hours and like 30 minutes. It is quite long.
Yeah, that was the main reason. Yeah,
very understandable. I think it's also that doesn't have a director like Scorsese attached where you're like, oh, maybe Scorsese. I'll definitely need to check it out. I think this movie really shines in like the last third, but it builds just on top of like the stuff that it's been set up. So while I was watching it for the first time and not knowing anything going into it, right, because it was a world premiere in Cannes, I wasn't sure if I'm gonna like it. I really liked it by the end of it. You going into it, Kevin, knowing kind of the reception already, what did you think about it?
I do have all of the films of this guy, Nuri Bilge Ceylan. I probably butchered that, sorry. But I didn't catch any of his films, so I did went to it blind, not knowing his style. And, the first person I thought about was, the guy from RMN. I just forgot his name, but it very much reminded me of that because there's a scene in RMN, like it's a one shot and it's like people arguing about the state of the town, etc. And that vibe I very much got throughout this whole movie. You got a Turkish Peter Sarsgaard. He reminded me so much of Peter Sarsgaard. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like I just saw it, and I've seen Memory, and like, why is this guy? They look so alike. But About Dry Grasses, it is very much like you say. I was very much floored by the movie throughout, but I was like, all right, this is a very strong 4 out of 5. Let's go. And then the last, like, I want to say 20 minutes happen. And that's truly when the message about Turkey, about the residents of these towns that are a bit isolated, and just the hope of the next generations. That's when the message truly shines. And I just by those last 20 minutes, like it was honestly the bow tie on the gift, that this movie is. Honestly amazing, and again, much like Perfect Day, it's kind of like a movie I could watch, but maybe just watch it the last 20 minutes because it's 3 hours, but those 20 minutes I could rewatch because they are so beautiful, about what the teacher says about that one student that he has a conflict with. Beautiful movie.
I think another film, the next one here, that's been talked about as like this year's Aftersun, and might be a bit overhyped in that it just shares one of the lead actors with Paul Mescal. All of Us Strangers also played at the festival. I'm really jealous that it didn't play, I guess envious, that it played and didn't play anywhere close from me, and it doesn't even have a distributor yet, so I'll probably have to wait until it releases on VOD. But what are all the good things you can tell me about All of Us Strangers, or is there anything bad as well?
I mean, it was a good movie. There was like a very good balance between like a little bit of humor, a lot of sadness, and also like some like tenderness. It was first and foremost, let's say Andrew Scott playing a sad person Great. You are such a good sad person. No, that was really, really convincing. That's overall what I think of it. The only thing I missed was the part of where he says that he's a script writer, and he starts writing the script about the house, the house that he had with his parents. And I feel like that part didn't get really played out during the movie. That I feel like they should have done something with it. Either you leave it out, or if you include it, you have to work it out, because I was really curious about that aspect of his life, that he's a writer, and I missed that a bit. So yeah, but he's a good sad person.
He's a great sad person, honestly. And I wrote like a small line about this movie, but honestly, like everyone in this movie is just like Andrew Scott's sparring partner, which like, and you have to realize their sparring partners are Claire Foy, Jamie Bell, and Paul Mescal. So like,
cast.
if you get, if you get like a level above them, like then you got a killer performance. It will definitely get nominations across the board. I hope so, because it isn't definitely a movie that easily gets sold. You got this guy Andrew Scott. He's a screenwriter, and he's sitting in this building, this skyscraper really, and no one's there in that building. Like no one lives there in that building except one other person, which is Paul Mescal's character, and they bond over each other. Like everyone talks about the ghost, the ghost of your past, but I actually, one thing I will highlight about this movie is because this movie takes place in London, and it's very much like like based in London, even though our main character goes to the suburbs, like his parents' house a lot of the movie. Like he lost his parents at a young age, so he's very much still processing that. And it's a story about grief, but it's also a story about homosexuality in London, because like he's at the moment he says like everyone here is going to their grandparents or going to live in a house outside of London, but he doesn't want to do that because London is very inclusive. In the movie they go to a club, like it doesn't feel like there is much heterosexual energy in the club's room. And I really like that part about it. And I also want to give a major props to the director of photography in this movie, because he uses sunlight in an excellent way. Especially in the apartment of Andrew Scott, playing with the sunlight in his apartment, I thought was an excellent choice. All of the Strangers is a very, very good movie. I believe it's in my top 10 of 2023, and it just missed out on my top 5 of Gent.
That's great. Yeah. And I think the both of you called Amal.
We could go on for hours, but I'll let Ines do the talk here.
Yeah, so I was actually, this movie was one of the movies I was really excited about. Maybe for context, I have Moroccan roots. My mom is Moroccan, and this was made by a director with Moroccan roots as well. This is totally personal, and I do realize that, so I must say that in advance. But I was frustrated from beginning till end, and I didn't even make it until the end. This is the only movie I walked out of. Perhaps it had something to do with the fact that this was my 5th movie of the day. Also, as well, I was a bit tired, maybe.
And your first day.
And my first day as well. But I am kind of over Moroccan people in movies and their themes and their storylines always being about radicalization, terrorism, extremists and everything. I'm really over it. And I actually wrote a thesis about representation and the production of characters with North African roots in movies. So I wrote a lot about that during the summer, so that maybe made my patience a little. To be honest, I wasn't really patient, and I'm just done with this team. This movie is about how children at a school, also a school, Belgian movie that plays at a school once again, with children that are actually radicalized. This is insane. Radicalizing. And there were just so many things that I couldn't relate. And I have Moroccan family, and I go to Brussels, and when I see certain scenes and certain things are being said where I think like this doesn't happen, this is not realistic, and I can see through that because I know my people, and I know what kind of things can happen. But for Belgian people especially, they think this is it. This is the reason why children are getting like this. So yeah, I was just frustrating from beginning till end. And the only thing I must say, but we all knew that, Lubna Lemi, the leading actress,
Lubna Azabal.
Yeah, she's great. She's always great. So that's the only good thing I can say. She also played in Rebel last year. She's great, but just overall,
she's also the lead in Incendie. If anyone's seen that movie,
it's yeah. I'm just so over it. Like, do something else. For example, in Holly, we have a character that has, I think, Moroccan roots or Turkish roots. But the fact that he is Turkish or Moroccan isn't a part of his storyline. And that's what I miss. I just want my people to be in movies and their storylines not to be only about their faith and the fact that they're Moroccan. I'm just so over it. Let's make a difference, guys.
I do, because like she watched it the first day of Gent. I missed the first day of Gent, so I had to catch it later on. And with everything she said to me, I very much went in with let me get a bit of a representation glasses on, and let me study this a bit further, yeah. And so I do agree with everything Ines said, but I think the main problematic aspect of Amal is, so this girl in the class of the main lead, the teacher, she's a Muslim, but she, feels a bit, has feelings towards women. And, and you got this whole class, basically this gang who's like kind of, ganging up on her. And, obviously this all trickles down to a big movement. So we got this teacher who is defending the girl. And it's like no one is supporting the teacher. Like, I told Ines, because she hadn't seen the movie King Mutiny Court Martial. But in King Mutiny Court Martial, you got the lawyer saying at one point, I have to make you a hero. I can't make the rest of the crew a hero, because then I don't have a chance. It's all about you. And that's what I feel this movie does with the teacher, because at a certain moment, the girl goes online, she sees all the hate she gets, and like there is not a single positive word of support towards her online. Sure, the hate gets it's louder noise, but like nothing. So like that also represents the whole Muslim community as kind of like evil, like hateful. I'm like, no, and it also feels weird because I did join the screening of the cast, the director. Like one of the kids, it was in front of me, and every time he came on screen, he was like this with his phone. Oh yeah, look, I'm in the movie, which like pisses me off. He filmed his own self. Doing, I hate it. I hate that kid.
I'm so happy that he's in the movie.
Yeah, but so, a bit of a misrepresentation, but overall, the acting, again, especially from the main teacher, is very, very strong. But go wary with the representation in this movie. Next one.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
And we're still at A.
We're still at A. I didn't do it.
I fear this is going to be another long recording, okay? I don't know. I'm bad with math, but I can tell.
Alright, let me go to the next movies very quickly, because those two are mine. Yep. And the King said, what a fantastic machine. Is basically like a kind of film essay about, the camera, the role the camera has played, at first with short films, how that has evolved, to then with TV and feature films, etc. But then at a certain point, the film talks about, the internet age. And there it very much loses its focus of, the thesis about the camera. They also use a lot of footage from the internet, and very avid internet users will recognize all of the images they play. They play at a certain moment, a pilot in a jet who wants to take a photo, but the photo, like the fucking cell phone goes flying, so those kind of clips. But it loses its thesis at the end. Sure, it picks it up a bit at the end, but I thought, it's a mid essay, but it's a fun time, honestly, because at some point it is very, very educational. Do not expect too much from The End of the World is, I believe, Romanian from Radu Juda, which movie Bad Luck Banging or Loony Porn I watched 2 years ago. Radu Juda is very much a troll director. I have to say I didn't finish the movie. Like, I watched 2 hours of it, but then walked out because I also had to go home. It was the last day. I had yet to see Kill Over the Flower Moon, so I didn't catch the whole ending. But I was very frustrated with how the movie went, because you got this woman, right, who has to go interview workers who are handicapped or had an injury at their work. And at the same time, she's also like this Andrew Tate wannabe vlogger. And sure, like, if you want to do that, there was some funny parts of it. At a certain moment, you Bol, the guy from like the shitty Far Cry movies, etc., came in, and she had a very fun segment with that. But at the same time, you have another story about a woman taxi driver, and that was beautifully shot, by the way. And then you always get pulled back to this woman on the road saying very vulgar things in black and white. And I'm like, Radu Juda has so much good in him, but he also wants to play his edginess in his movies. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And that was so frustrating to watch, honestly. So I would recommend it, if you like his previous movies, and it is very fun to watch some of the conversations they have. But sometimes the edginess also like pulls you out of the movie, and especially the cinematography, because there's so many good flashback scenes, and the story could be way better, represented next to each other. But sometimes they vary so much with the edginess. I do think it's a bit unbalanced. But if you're into that, I do recommend it.
I mean, I skipped this one. This was playing in Locarno, which was a festival I also attended, but it's just I didn't like his last movie, and I do have a couple of people around me, like some friends who work in the industry, who really love this one. Like, I have a friend who gave this like 5 stars, and I just feel like I'm gonna agree more with you than him on this, Kevin. But yeah, next up was the opening film at the Zurich Film Festival. I played at TIFF, and now in Ghent as well, Dream Scenario, and I think both of you caught this one.
We all saw it. It was day 2, day 1 for me. So yeah, Ines?
Yeah, it was an enjoyable, fun movie. It was especially fun to watch in a packed theater. That was fun. The only thing I didn't like were the last 20 minutes. I feel like the last 20 minutes, it just wasn't satisfying to me. But yeah, Nicolas Cage his performance was, it was absolutely amazing. It was good. It was really good. So yeah. I don't know, what did you think about the last 20 minutes, Kevin?
Look, this is a very high concept movie, and I did fear beforehand it would run out of steam sooner rather than later, and it wasn't the case. It ran out of steam eventually, but a bit later than I was expecting, also based on Christopher Borgili feature, Sick of Myself. And yeah, and it's also like, so when the spiraling out of control happens, the spiraling out of control, it happens, and then at a certain point, Nicolas Cage's character, tries to make an apology, and I feel like the apology would have been a better segue into the spiraling out of control. So again, Nicolas Cage is fucking amazing, right? It's Nicolas Cage. It's the Cage energy. But yeah, it ran out of steam. But again, a very enjoyable movie. Ewan, you have seen it also. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it will be part of the not yet released Zurich Film Festival coverage where I talk about like 100 movies. It was a part of that, but I haven't really talked about it yet that much. I think it is just like two different movies in one, and then the final 20 minutes is so much about the message it's trying to give you, but that should have just been a part of the core story and not just like, hey, look at this satirical element that we bring in to like really run this point into the ground. And I think he stands out. I don't think Cage knows at points what type of movie he's in. But he's really great. I think if you can use him that way, his Cage energy, then it's amazing. I think it's one of his best performances in a long time. And I also really like
Big, I would say.
That also kind of lost steam with the overarching story. So that was also like something I feared. I wish it would have just stayed a bit more in its weirdness and less on the commentary side. I think a more lighthearted film can still poke fun at some of these societal things that it tries to depict in a silly way. I just didn't need it so like it was just a bit too direct at parts for me.
I wouldn't say it's weirdness. I would say more it's creative part, you know, because you got to dream, like you can have fun with that.
Yeah.
But it also like lures away from that aspect after a while. Yeah, very much agree.
Yeah. Dumb Money is the next movie that all three of us caught. I caught this at an event where I had to sign a really strict embargo, and I have not yet gotten the okay that I can talk about Dumb Money. But I'm going to talk about Dumb Money because it has released in so many different places now where I've seen it like in another place. I think this was kind of fine. I expected so much worse, but I don't know what expectations the two of you went in, but Ines, what did you make of the film?
I knew what we were dealing with once they started the song WAP from Cardi B.
Yeah.
I immediately knew what we were dealing with. I mean, it was fine. It was fun. It wasn't, you didn't have to take it as serious. It was just lay back and just watch the movie. That it was one of those where you just didn't have to think as much, even though I know like shit about investing in Wall Street and stuff like that, but it didn't really matter. It was I mean, it was okay. It was a fine movie, just like you said, you would.
Well, I did the movie some dumb fun, and that's meant as a compliment, you know. Because, you know, honestly, Paul Dano as an influencer, right? He was great. He should really do some YouTube or Twitch because he's so good in this movie. Especially, you know, with the cat aspect of it. So I also said Paul Dano's competing for best movie influencer with George McKay in La Bête. Mm-hmm. You know, both are great influencers. But yeah, is it better than, you know, all of the corporate stock movies we've gotten over the last 2 decades, you know, Wolf of Wall Street or Big Short? No, it's very much in 1 or 2 tiers below that, but it's still a lot of fun. And, you know, maybe this movie will age like milk. We don't yet know, but it is quite surprising, you know, how solid the movie is for the quick turnaround, because this is just a story that was just 2 years ago, like maybe even less than 2 years. So like the fact they've made a movie this quick about it, and also like the director is, I don't know if he's very well versed in internet culture, but sometimes it did feel like the meme aspect of this movie, like it felt like it got shown by a 50-year-old who doesn't understand it all. But it's fun. It's fun, and it's fine.
It's so fine. It's so, like, I thought it was gonna get a lot of stuff wrong. It's gonna get the perspectives wrong. It's gonna showcase like it still is like the small guy against the big guy.
Yeah.
But it's not like that's not like the full story. There's a bit more nuance to all of this, and I think it kind of got there even still while being like really silly. And it wasn't the best idea to like start writing this before this whole situation even was done, which is what they did here. And I feel like if you give it a bit more time and maybe a better writer, and whatever, you could have a better version of this. But for dumb fun, for dumb slob and entertainment to guzzle down, I think Dumb Money is fine. It's been bombing because this has released in the States. It's been bombing there for like the type of cast it has. I think it only made like 12 million in total.
Yeah, we wouldn't go see Pete Davidson.
I don't know what your angle is here. If, like, there's actually people who wanted to go or not, but anyways, let's move on to a iconic Finnish director who's made a ton of great films that I really enjoy. Fallen Leaves. Did the two of you catch this one as well?
We did. This was an enjoyable movie. I haven't seen movies like this before. Don't shoot me, guys. I've never seen a movie before from this director. But
It's okay.
it's okay. Okay, that's good. I mean, I thought that I had seen movies with dry humor before, and then I watched this one, and then I was like, "This is dry.
Mhm.
This is dry humor, and I love it." Also, the setting, it made me. It gave like an old Hollywood vibe a bit to it, like the style and everything. I really liked it. It's something different. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, Ewan, what did you think about Fallen Leaves? I know you've seen it at Cannes, I believe.
Yeah, and then after seeing it at Cannes last month, I did do an entire series in the theater where I work in as programming on Aki Kaurismäki because I enjoyed it so much. And it actually is still showing in our theater. It's been doing great there. It's just got a ton of charm. It's I like the humor. I like the dog in it is great. I haven't seen it since Gun, and I definitely need to rewatch it. So I don't know if I want to go into details on my thoughts. It definitely needs a rewatch. So just hand it over to you, Kevin. What did you make of it?
So, I got the Aki Kaurismäki box set here, and, I really want to quickly, there's like a booklet in it, and it's a quote I really love, right? So, my audience is getting older and older, and so am I. It's funny. I was a film buff 20 years ago. Everybody went to the cinema all the time. You had to see every film, ever shown anywhere. Now everybody has a family and they're in debt, prisoners of banks. Nobody goes to the cinema anymore except children who want to see Hollywood shit. Nowadays the average age of my audience is 60 years old. Old ladies who are either divorced or whose husband killed themselves. Which is okay for me. At least I have an audience. And you know what? If his audience are 60-year-olds, consider the 60-year-old me satisfied with this movie. It's a crazy
I mean, I can't confirm. There was a lot of 60-year-old. I don't know about the marital status, but there was a lot of 60-year-old. They keep our business afloat, by the way. So shout out to all the 60-year-olds.
Shout out to all the 60-year-olds, all the retired people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see two other movies of Kaurismäki before it, Le Havre and The Man Without a Past, and you definitely sense a trait of Kaurismäki's work. I wrote down, there's a complex relationship that is brewing, but also gets complicated by a main aspect in this movie. It's basically alcoholism, drug addiction, all that. A dog gets introduced who raises everyone's spirit, the audience and the characters in the film included. And, like everyone is very emotionally inept, like no one is throwing any tantrums around. There's no yelling. But that makes everything that is said more meaningful. I absolutely love the Kaurismäki style. Humor, like even the sets. His rooms never feel brand new. They always feel worn down, very much lived in. Fallen Leaves is just another great addition. It's in my top 10 again. Absolutely loved it.
Well, looking forward to this one coming to your theater, or maybe because it is still like, even if there's like a decade plus history for like a filmmaker's filmography, sometimes there's not enough reach to be playing in every single country to have like a theatrical run, but go give it a watch. It's a really nice, quaint little story. Next up, an iconic filmmaker that most people might be a bit more familiar with is Michael Mann, and he had a new film that premiered in Venice. Kevin and I already talked about it, so I want to hear your thoughts, Ines, about Ferrari.
So for context, I'm a huge Formula One gal. I'm really into racing. So I was excited for this movie. And especially, I didn't really know the history of Ferrari, so that was interesting as well. I mean, it was good. I mean, Adam Driver is always a pleasure to see on my screen. The only little issue that I had was the Italian accent with all the American actors.
What accent? I thought they were native speakers. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, but no, I don't know if it has to do with me going to Italy like a month ago, and where I had to.
We were in Italy.
Oh yeah, you were in Italy, and then you speak English with them, and it sounds a bit different when with their accent. So I could hear the American accent coming through. But okay, that's maybe
no. You're definitely validated. We were joking about this all festival, Kevin and I. It's just like it's very funny the way that they only pronounce like overpronounce with an Italian accent the names, but all of the rest of the cadences they don't really have. It's just very silly. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, the only one that was a bit convincing was Penelope Cruz.
Yeah.
She was convincing. There was one scene that you could compare to the last scene in Perfect Days, where she looks at the is it the grave of her son?
The grave of her son, yeah.
Yeah, where she starts laughing and then starts crying. The thing is that when you compare these two, both really good actors, she's doing an amazing job. But what the setting of the movie and the music does to those scenes made the scene in Perfect Days so much better than hers. But good performance by her, but it was just setting, and the sound wasn't as convincing as in Perfect Days. But overall it was okay. I wasn't really like, oh, this was great, but I thought it was okay. It was fine.
Yeah, Kevin, I think you had like suspicions that there might be a longer cut that had a bit more focus on the drivers themselves. Not the A driver, Adam Driver, but the actual driver.
I did suspect, because it's Michael Mann. The guy has so many director's cuts. At this point you kind of know there's a director's cut behind it. Even Ridley Scott, he hadn't even released his movie. He said like, I got a 4-hour cut in the back. It's like, all right, with Napoleon. So because the drivers, the reason also the driver feels undercooked, right? They're played by Patrick Dempsey, and Jack O'Connell.
End of it, man. I don't know what movie you've been watching, but it's pretty good, man.
I did like it a bit more the second time around. I had a bit of problem with the pace, but the second time it actually kind of flew by. But the strong parts are the third act of this movie and Penelope Cruz, who is the only one who can consistently hold her Italian accent. But that aside, Ferrari, even Adam Driver, I thought was actually a bit better the second time around, because there's a bit of nuance which I actually quite missed admittedly on the first viewing. So and of course everyone talks about the silliness of the Italian accent, but there's also a bit of a silliness in the crashes, in the CGI sometimes. Like one car goes off the road and bumps against a rock, and you see like the dummy just like in the car bouncing around. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, cool. But even though some of the crashes do feel a bit silly, sometimes the impact can be felt. In Ines words, actually. So yeah, it's just
those. There was like one pretty brutal moment, and someone in our Venice audience laughed, and I was like, I get this moment might have looked a bit silly, but it's still in the narrative kind of serious. And I was feeling it. I was like, I don't know. I feel like people are hyper focusing on maybe some of its visuals shortcomings in the CGI. But I feel like there's a really strong story at the center that is captivating. Maybe it could have been a bit better. Maybe there's a different edit out there that's more compelling. But it's still a great movie.
It still doesn't represent the trailer. The trailer still very much portrays it as a thriller. It's not that. It's very much a drama. So let's get out of the way. All right.
Well, yeah.
The next one.
Holdovers. You already
Holdovers.
mentioned this.
What do you think about it, Ewan?
Wow. That's rude. I haven't seen this one, Kevin, and you know this. I haven't seen it because it's not out for me yet. How rude. Well, yeah, you already talked about this one, Ines. I don't know if you have anything. Well, both of you did, I guess. Anything else you want to add?
Well, the only thing I want to add is, Paul Giamatti. Honestly, he's so great. But the thing I really thought about the Holdovers, I really called it a callback to the 80s movies, those like road trip movies, those bonding movies like, A Stand of a Woman, Rain Man, it's very much this type of film. And honestly, it's one very much like Kill of the Flower Moon, which feels like such a movie from that era. And it's great to see movies still like that made today. And it's Alexander Payne's best. And it's such good atmospheric movies, like an instant Christmas classic for me. Like, I don't want to see Home Alone anymore. All right, I want to see Holdovers for Christmas. So give me that movie, please.
Die Hard, my favorite Christmas movie.
Wait,
that will piss off like 5 people in the comments. It's just like, I gotta hit it each time it comes up with Christmas movies. It's so funny. Yeah, and Ines, anything you wanna add or?
No, I like I said before, it was nice to watch like a feel good movie, even though there were serious topics. Serious topics. Serious topics. In the movie, it was overall just laid back and just enjoyable. Really.
Yeah, I feel like the complete kind of mirrored version of this could be maybe the next movie we talk about, How to Have Sex, from Molly Wanting Walker. I think it's her debut as well. Kevin, you brought up to me that she was also the DP of Scrapper, right?
Yeah, she is.
She's great. I missed out on an interview. I could have I didn't get an interview with her in Zurich. I would have loved to have picked her brain, because this was one of my highlights coming out of Cannes. It won the biggest prize in its category for Un Certain Regard there. I had it up there as the best out of any of the like non-competition and competition section. I think it's really strong. I really want to rewatch it now. What did the two of you think of it?
I can say I think every woman sitting in the theater could somehow relate to this story. Not relate, but knows of stories like this. And I felt for the girls, so I got really emotional actually. It was a good movie. It's a very important topic to be discussed and to be shown in movies. And the only thing I wasn't really pleased with was at the end. I felt like when she said it at the airport to her friend, then she confessed that actually that she didn't have consensual sex. She was asleep. That was like the moment they could have gone further, and then it quickly ended. I felt like the movie could have lasted like maybe like a half an hour longer. I felt like they could have gone way more in depth or something. It was a good but a sad movie and very relatable. So that's what I really liked about it. Yeah.
I can't relate to this movie on the men's side. Like, I can't relate getting your dick sucked and your body licked all over on stage in front of thousands of people. I'm sorry, I can't relate to that. But
come back to us with your thoughts once you've done it, because until then, you don't have anything worthwhile to say about it.
How to Have Sex. It's a very good movie. I do get the myth behind it. The lead wears a necklace called Angel, and you got two friends of her. One who kind of pushes her to more it. The other is a bit, take it at your time. The angel and devil on your shoulder. And they're in Greece, so you got that. It adds a bit more to the mythical aspect of the movie. But yeah, again, as Ines said, I did feel the emotional depth could have been a bit deeper. Sure, their friends were a bit ignorant they're also living their lives at the party. But yeah, indeed, I think they could have cut short the party part of it and more focused on the impact, the emotional impact, the physical trauma that comes with it. I don't know if you have any, because you were a bit more positive than us.
Yeah,
this is your favorite, right?
I kind of yeah. I mean, this was in my I think top 5 or top 6 coming out of Gun. I think it just like really is so well put together, and where it kind of leads into it, that it's not this linear thing that she has to deal with, but it comes in bursts where she is kind of not coming to terms with the situation she's in, but she's trying, and it's just something that keeps triggering her to kind of change how she is as a person, and how she has to adapt to it. And I feel like it does, that frustration really comes through, that she really isn't in control anymore, and she's just kind of trying to get that step by step, but she doesn't really have a support system. I just really thought it was a well done movie, but I haven't rewatched it since May, with a lot of these from Gunn. I definitely need to see it again. Then yeah, maybe I'll.
But I'm very excited for the director's
Yes,
future work. That's very
thank you.
much.
Yeah, I forgot to say that. I'm really looking forward to what she has in store next. Yeah, someone who's been rising the ranks when it comes to a certain type of film, I say, is what he keeps returning back to, is Lee. He made Les Miserables, that was nominated for an Oscar for France a couple of years ago, and now he's made Bâtiment 5, or Les Indésirables. Another one.
Why need 2 French titles, right?
I mean, yeah, you got to double down. I don't know which one. I think Les Indésirables is the English one, because it's the Indésirables, and that's like something that the Americans understand. And then Bâtiment, I guess they're like, what's a bat in this? Like, what the fuck?
What was that French impression?
It wasn't a French impression, it was an American impression.
But yeah.
Maybe something about my mic maybe cut out. Usually my accents, like when I do accent work.
Maybe you need to act in Ferrari.
I'll take the job, Michael, man. But what did you guys think of Les Indésirables? I don't know if the both of you caught it, or
Yeah.
Yeah, we both seen it. We haven't seen the director's previous work, neither of us. So this was our first impression of the director, and I do think he gets close to the same heights as a Steve McQueen. That type of caliber director. He does sometimes get close to it, but then something is just missing, or it's just done a bit too much, and then that knocks the movie down a bit. But all I'm gonna say before I leave the words to Ines is, honestly, great drone work. There is one shot in particular, when the police goes into one of these bâtiments, and they're like sweeping inside the door. I was like, I'm getting in one take, let's go, and then it cuts, but still a great shot. Very much enjoyed it. Reminded me a lot of Widows too, like the mayor of the Widows. That whole segment felt like that segment was made into a movie in France, which is very topical too. But I really liked it, but it just doesn't get to the same heights as those other great movies about French banlieue and those other races, movie about racism and housing in America.
So I agree with Kevin. I feel like it could have been way more powerful by there was something missing, and to me, for example, was the fact that she was running for mayor was a bit too much for me. Like, it would have been better that she was just getting into politics, not essentially like trying to go for mayor. That was my thing. I think if that would have been different, maybe it would have been better. But it was an interesting theme. I think it was hard to watch this and not get like riled up or angry. But I also I memorized. I still remember the scene with the drone, which was a very good scene. And I also really liked the music, the sound was very good. It went with the story and everything. So I feel like they could have done more with this movie, but it was good, but just I was missing something. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just remembered what I felt was missing. Because at some point, the energy, the momentum in the movie is so good. Like, like it moves. The story moves, the film moves, and just the motivation of the characters. Like, it has a certain energy, and sometimes that energy just dissipates or comes to a halt very quickly. And I felt like that was the biggest flaw of the movie. I don't know what you saw it too, Ewan, right?
Yeah, I caught it in Zurich, so I already talked about it in the recap there. But I mean, there was another other movie in the festival that had Alexis Marinetti in there, the guy who is the mayor. He was also in Athena, that Netflix film from last year.
Oh
And he
yeah.
was also in Les Miserables, so he's like very much always in these films, and he was also in the short that largely initially made. And I think he is a compelling character with the mayor. I think they don't explore him as much because he's just like obviously like the corrupt bad guy in this. I feel like you could do a bit more with that, and Lachlan is way more concerned with the movement, the kinetic energy that he can put on screen. And I do agree, sometimes he just cuts himself off in a weird way, and the movies also always end on like kind of at a point where they can continue, and then he just cuts it off. He does the same thing with Les Miserables. And there's just some potential left on the table. I hope he has like an upcoming film where he like really nails it. But he has yet to do that for me. I think though his staging and like the direction of longer scenes, the drone shots is definitely a highlight. But yeah, those are my 2 cents on it. And because it's a French film, we'll certainly get it in all of like our regions that we are in. I don't know about the listeners and the viewers right now, but yeah, be on the lookout. But yeah, next up is a German film that actually premiered earlier this year, and I just completely missed it. It's the official submission from Germany, The Teacher's Lounge, which in German would be Das Lehrerzimmer. What do you guys think about it? Well, I think only Kevin caught it, or did
I
you?
only I saw
Yeah.
it, and I was actually gonna pronounce the German title until you said it, and now I don't want to say it anymore
I
because
didn't.
I'm not
Do
gonna. Yeah, I called this movie the literal personification of the domino meme for one teacher's mistake. We've said all these movies about schools, about teachers, like stop it. But stop it after this one, because this one is actually quite good. I actually kind of, this teacher makes an accusation towards one of the other employees of the school, and from there on, everything just comes crumbling down. The class doesn't want to listen to her anymore, or they conspire. They bully other kids, but in a like in a smart way, not just like in a dumb like, hey, none of that bullshit, right? In a very clever way. I really like it. It's in my top. I don't know all the candidates for the best international film, but I think it will get shortlisted in the top 10. Honestly, I really like it a lot. And the lead actress is also great, Leonie Benesch. She's really great in this movie. Also, decent child performances. Ewan, you can definitely.
I'm no hater of child performances, man. I don't like these accusations.
Nah, but it's a very good movie. Go check it out. It's in my top 15.
Sweet. And then the next film also played in Gun. It was, I think, my second favorite of the whole festival. Big fan of Todd Haynes. May December. It depicts a May-December relationship, which is like an expression used when there's a big age gap between the two parties participating in this relationship. It's controversial. It got picked up by Netflix, which I think is interesting. And it has some like star-filled cast with Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. A lot of people have been saying Charles Melton is a highlight later in the story. I agree. Now I'm curious to what do you guys think of it?
I went into the movie without having an idea of what to expect. I remember it was, I think, my fourth movie of the day, and
First day.
Of the what? Of the first day?
Yeah, first day, yeah.
Yeah. Right before Amal. So luckily I did see this one right before Amal. But I do remember that I was thinking I have to see this for a second time because I felt a bit tired. And the beginning I was really attentive in the beginning and I really liked it, but then I felt like I was getting a little bit tired. So I don't really remember as much from the movie. So good that it's getting picked up by Netflix because I have to watch this one again.
I believe it comes out beginning of December.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Charles Melton is definitely the MVP. I'm sorry. There's a certain scene in the bedroom when he and Julian Moore starts arguing, and I think that is like, if the usual. If hey, this should be the Oscar clip now. If he gets nominated, like that should be the Oscar clip. He's fucking great in that. But yeah, this is a memorable, funny, a bit of an absurd movie because you got Natalie Portman kind of copying Julian Moore, and the process of seeing that is a lot of fun. And it also feels much like because all of these films are post-pandemic, so because it does feel a bit of an outlier in Todd Haynes' filmography. We are always very dramatic, and here you get a bit of more of a levity, and I think he kind of
I think it's what he said about it was that initially it was way more serious, more drama, and then in the edit he kind of noticed that it's actually like really funny somehow. So it was like not something intentional that he wrote like a comment like these comedic scenes. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Because like at some points, Julian Moore starts crying about cookies or like a cake, and it's like, this is the woman's biggest priority in life. Okay, sure. Very good movie. I liked it a lot.
Next up is The Old Oak, another film that played in Cannes, from Ken Loach. Did the both of you catch this one?
Yeah, we watched it together.
Yes, we watched it together. But I'm gonna let Kevin start with this because he's the big Ken Loach fan.
Well, I haven't seen that many Ken Loach movies, funnily enough, but I've seen Sorry We Missed You at Film Fest Gent, 4 years ago. Sorry We Missed You is one of the best movies I've ever seen of at Gent, and it's definitely one of my favorites of his. So you get the Old Oak here, and the Old Oak, it does feel a bit out of the comfort zone of Ken Loach. Definitely not about the housing aspect. The fact that the environment they live in, the whole minor coal stories. It's very much in Ken Loach's lane, and then you get this refugee storyline, and I do think he had a bit of a trouble navigating that to represent that accurately. But I will say there is a church scene in Old Oak, which I think is one of the most vital and most important of this year due to the situation in Israel, Palestine, Gaza, all that. And I do think that scene is definitely one of this year's most important. And again, it's a nice movie, but it does have its flaws and its faults. But it does have some aspects that are just vital, especially in this year and age.
I enjoyed the movie, but I felt like, it felt a bit unfinished at the end. It just went up to the credits, and I thought, oh, this is the end. So yeah, it felt a bit unfinished. But I liked the topic. But yeah, I also felt with this one, just like Les Indésirables, Bâtiment 5, that there was something missing, and maybe it's because it felt unfinished. So it was good, but not great.
Yeah, I came out of this quite liking it, and then Lachlan shamed me into liking it less because he thought it was like terrible. He didn't like it at all, but maybe it was because it was so. That's just Ken Loach's style to be like so sincere, like so much. And if you're just put off by that, then I guess you're not gonna like I don't know, vibe with this type of filmmaking style that's very just like observational, and it feels very much like just improvised in parts. I didn't like some of the escalating moments. They felt like really calculated, and that
Yeah.
kind of took it down a notch for me as well, where I was like in what he was trying to go for, but it felt like it was trying to have specific moments to point to have like this clash, when it was just like it was something that was brewing in the background. And I feel like we do have an understanding of it. We don't need like narrative beats for them individually.
Yeah.
But still, if you like his films, I think it's not one of the better ones, but it's one worth checking out if you like Ken Loach.
And there's another dog in the movie who's absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
The dog is important. And you know what? It is a solid movie to end his career on. I will say that it's not a dud. I wouldn't definitely call it a dud of his career.
Is he retiring?
He retired. He officially announced it. So that's why this is his last movie. There's some sentimental value to that statement and with this movie. So it's a decent one to end on and have a good retirement, I guess.
Yeah. The next movie we're talking about had like 17 different titles. Man, it feels like a Fast and Furious sequel.
Wait, let me see if I remember them.
Yep.
You got the La Passion de Dodin Bouffon, or something of that. Yeah. You got The Taste of Things. And somehow, because we're in Belgium, so, you got French subtitles. And, the title came on La Passion de Dodin Bouffon. And then in the subtitles, you have the French Le Pot en Feu.
You cannot. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, why? There was a French title on the screen.
That was the title for it in Cannes.
It was?
It was the English title for. I think it was always La Passion de Dodin Bouffon. But then at one point it was like D, the English D.
Yeah.
Pot au feu. Which I don't know if that would have helped with the English people. Like maybe they know what a pot au feu is. I don't know. It's just funny.
I mean, they know at the end of the movie.
We talked about this a bunch in Cannes, that like we had like everyone had just eaten. This was like the first screening in the afternoon, and even though everyone was like full, they all wanted to go eat something straight after this. How do you guys feel about it? Yeah.
I felt the exact same way. I wanted to eat everything that was in that movie.
Not everything.
No, yeah, the only thing I didn't want to eat was the thing with the, how do you say that in English, Kevin? The feet of the
the chicken feet.
Yeah, the chicken feet. That's the only thing I wouldn't eat. But yeah, I mean, story-wise, that wasn't the main thing of the movie. I think that it wasn't that good, that interesting to me. To me, what was interesting was watching the food. So after a while, when you watch the food, I think it's a long movie, isn't it? It's a bit long, no?
It's I believe like 2 hours and 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So at the end, I was a bit like done with it because story-wise, there wasn't something interesting going on. But yeah, fine, I guess. It was nice to see people cooking the entire time.
Yeah, because I wasn't prepared for the amount of cooking that was gonna be. You go into this movie and out of nowhere they just start cooking, yeah, and then I'm like, okay, yeah,
trigger
they
warning.
They keep cooking.
You might get hungry.
And I'm like, wait, let me check quickly the time, and they've been cooking for an hour already.
Yeah, the
wait,
opening, isn't the opening? I don't know if the opening was a long take or if it was.
No,
it was just like
the opening
cooking, not
like
really any.
Yeah, it's just cooking for the menu. They were making food for the guests, and I'm like, they are already cooking for half an hour, 40 minutes, and like it kept going. I'm like, okay, chill. But the story of this movie is like all bone and bare meat, or like all meat and bare bone, depending on how you want to see this movie, right? Bon appetit, Ines. But because I see her eating, like she's eating during this.
Don't call her out.
Talking
She's off
of this
screen
movie.
right now. Don't pull her on screen for this.
Yeah, but there is you got the romantic story. That's all well. Binoche is like one of the most beautiful women of all time, right? She's stellar. But that's really the only story we got. And I'm like, you're seeing this elite guy. You're saying they have no worries, like none, outside of just eating. All right, sure, whatever. I don't believe you, but okay. And the before the movie had, you had to come pre the mise en scène, and I hate that word. Some teachers make me hate that word, but it is deserved. The filmmaking of this movie is quite stellar. Especially the movement of the camera inside the kitchen, inside the castle house, like that's all stellar. So that's the most deserved aspect. And most wonderful aspect of this movie besides the food.
Mm-hmm. So if you're hungry, go give The Taste of Things, Les Passions de Don de Buffon, or The Pot au Feu a watch, whatever you prefer. I'm sure you'll find the same thing. So
give it a taste.
Oh my God, what a nice tagline for the movie. They should hire you in the marketing team.
Thank you.
All right, Wim Wenders had a new film displayed at Cannes also. Man, I don't know when we'll move on. Actually, the next couple of films all played in Cannes until we are done with this category. That's crazy. I'm not going to mention it again, but I've seen them in Cannes as well. Perfect Days, my favorite film of the year. Looking forward to covering this as a main review on the episode. So I think I've mentioned it before, so I'm just going to let the two of you talk. Again, I mean, you both brought it up already.
Yeah, the soundtrack as well was really, really good. Yeah, what I wanted to say, what an actor, insanely good. I already spoke about the last few minutes of the movie that will stuck with me forever. And what I also wanted to say that yeah, Japan has some nice public restrooms. Like
Apparently, I think the
do.
ones that are shown here are not really active anymore, is what someone told me. I don't know if they lied to me.
What?
But yeah, it's really cool public bathrooms, and
Yeah. But yeah, this movie is just, I mean, I already said it. It's my number one. It's perfect. Perfect Days was perfect
yeah.
to me.
Kevin, how do you justify not having it at your number? I know it's Poor Things. It's very good, but
Poor Things is great, but it's a near perfect movie. I'm glad I spent it with you. This movie just kept hanging me.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that lyrical reference to the new what's his name, Lou Renders or
Lou Reed, yeah. I tried. I actually have the lyrics on my screen, and I tried to make something really creatively. But look, Perfect Days. I've seen it twice because I refuse to wait till the end of November to watch it again. But at a certain point, our main character, he buys cheap books at the bookstore, and the cashier says, "Oh, you're buying that book? Yeah. The author all uses the same words as us, but somehow makes something wonderful out of it, like something blissful." Well, that's what Wim Wenders does with this movie, and it's just so beautiful. And the second time around, because you can quite take this movie at face value with the routine aspect of it, but then the movie also uses the Skytree building at a myth, because you got this sky tree, and you have all these people who are kind of rooted in this city, and you got this toilet cleaner guy who clearly has some baggage, emotional baggage of its past, and is using his routine to be sure of something, just to have something to hold on to be part of this tree of a city. And I really appreciated that aspect of the movie, and his performance is just absolutely stellar. I love it a lot.
Yeah, it's something just like as the collective human experience of what makes us, I don't know, what makes us tick. Is there's something about it that he captures with this man that's mysterious, but not for the sake of being mysterious. He's mysterious because we don't know him fully as a human, and you're just kind of wandering with him as he wanders through the world. It's something really beautiful about it. Everything in this is super poetic. It's just yeah, such a nice film.
It made me want to buy cassettes.
I've been listening to so much Lou Reed since May.
I can tell you, before the movie started, they played the trailer. In the last week, I've seen that trailer 6 times. Every time I'm glued to the screen watching the trailer, just remembering all the beautiful moments and listening to Perfect Day.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm glad I spent it with you. Let's move on. Let's move on. I don't want to do some karaoke.
The two of you didn't catch this one. It's a really bad movie. I think that's why I told you to stay clear of it. And yeah, it's a.
I think me.
What?
You told me to stay clear of it. Yeah.
That makes it sound like I disregard what Ines is going for if she's watching a bad movie.
No, but like you told me, and I'm like, alright, let's not watch that one.
Well, it's a long movie as well. It's like about religion, like Jews and Christians and clash, and I was like, I couldn't care less, man. Just resolve this shit. It's so dumb, and the sound mixing was really bad. It's been received like really positively. Like it has a 3.5 on Letterboxd, and I'm just wondering because everyone I know just didn't like it as much, but. Everyone in Cannes didn't like it, but since then people have been liking it a bit more. I don't know what's up with that, but
you want to know something funny, Ewan? Ines and I didn't care about the next movie either. Sweet East.
I haven't seen it yet. I missed this one in Cannes.
We both fell asleep at this movie at certain times. You know, we not at the same time. So we did watch the whole movie.
That's great.
Just combined. Yeah, but the Sweet East is like, this very chapter-esque movie that wants to be a bit of a fantasy fairy tale, and I just couldn't care less, honestly. It just didn't intrigue me at all. Yeah, I don't know what you want to say about it, Ines.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't care less either, but I mean, first and foremost, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. It was just a mess to me. I was thinking, okay, this movie is like one of those movies where the maker of this film wants to make it as weird as possible, that the audience is like, either this is too weird to me or this is a masterpiece. This is so great. And I'm one of those mainstream people that will say that it was too weird to me, too weird for me, and I just didn't get it. But great performance by the actress.
Talia Ryder.
Yeah,
I've been
it was good.
I've been riding. Let me rephrase that. I've been a fan of hers since the Never Ready, Sometimes Always, which was in a really lackluster year, was my favorite film of the year, and I've just been kind of curious to what she does next. She popped up in an Olivia Rodrigo music video and has done movies since. She was in Dumb Money as well, but I feel like she never got cast in a good role since. Like she's done some Netflix stuff. It's been a bit disappointing to follow her career so far, because I feel like she could do something great. She hasn't really had the chance since 2020 to do that. But Simon Rex, also someone who's very intriguing, and
I mean, he's all right. I mean, I do feel like everyone's a bit out of place in this movie.
Right.
Like Ayo Edibiri, with like the chef in Bear, and etc. Like even she, and she's in a lot of stuff this year, and this is the first where I'm like, maybe she should have passed on this one. It's just weird energy.
But you didn't finish theater camp, so she's also does have a pretty insignificant role in that, where she's not really used.
I've seen theater camp.
Okay, never mind. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Jacob Elordi is also in this. I don't think you guys had Saltburn at the festival, right?
No, but we've seen Priscilla, so I've seen 2 of his movies already.
Jacob Elordi is British in Saltburn. it's very funny. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's decent. But I might catch this at the Geneva Film Festival, but I do have to go on a train for 4 hours plus to go see 3 movies a day. I still don't know if I'm actually gonna do it, but the Sweeties it would be on that list.
I took an hour train every day, Ewan. It's just kidding.
Well, this would be 8 hours in one day that I have to spend on a train. It's just a bit much.
Yeah, this is just
yeah. Anyways, next up, Along Came Love. And what did you write, Kevin? Along Came... No, wait, that wasn't you.
No. Well, if you want to translate it, I translated to Along Came Hate while watching this movie. Or Tant de Détesté, right? Because this was the worst movie of the festival. Yeah, it's a French movie. I know. We always trash the Italian movies.
Yes.
But this time, a French movie, the worst. It's cringe. It's cringe. It's rushed. It's bad.
He's short-circuiting.
I don't know what positive to say.
It's honestly, it's torture. It's torture. Kevin and I, we went together, and there were several scenes where we were just looking to the screen like this, and then we were like, I was looking at him like, is he thinking the same? And he was definitely.
Especially there's like a threesome scene, and I'm like, this is going nowhere.
Kevin has a great side eye. It's very scary to be caught in them because sometimes you don't know how long he's been looking. So you never be caught in a Kevin side eye.
It was so bad. I'm so sorry. It was so bad, and it feels even. I feel bad that I think it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was so rushed. So many things that the director wanted to bring up, like very dramatic plots, but like 10 different dramatic things happened at the same time. When they should have just focused on 1 or 2 themes, and this movie could have been good.
Yeah.
Like, just focus on the fact that the guy is bisexual, and that back then it was illegal. That was, to me, that was like, you can talk about that and make that the entire story. No, there was, and then she had cancer, and then the other guy went to the army. The son went to the army.
It was crazy. I think this was also the movie where there is like an accident, and it's the most I've laughed at an accident all year. It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so funny because it was shot like terribly. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a car crash done worse. So yeah,
but
to me it was kind of funny. So I ultimately kind of enjoyed it because it was so bad. But
yeah,
but I said right, when you rush the romance between your leads, and which is central to the story, and you have no build up, and you're just left with the act of love, then you already shot yourself in the foot.
Love came along, man. Go along for the ride. Let's just vibe with it.
Well, I wanted to jump off the ride.
Well, jump off onto a heron that's big and that's scary and that has a weird face. And it's the closing film at the Gent Film Festival, and there's a boy in it as well. It's called The Boy and the Heron. It's the last film of Hayao Miyazaki, but psych, it's actually not the last film because they'll make movies until he dies. The Boy and the Heron. Initially, what was the title? That was.
I have to commend you on that segue. He was very, very.
No, it was How Do You Live? Was the
How Do You Live?
Initial title, and Kevin, we've talked about this already after podcast. That we both think this would have been a bit more of a fitting title for this film.
We haven't talked about it on podcast, but we have talked about it.
No, yeah, I said we talked about it.
Now we will talk
podcast.
After podcast, How Do You Live makes much more sense than The Boy and the Heron, because it's definitely about Miyazaki's, legacy. How will it last? How will it survive? It's definitely about that aspect. And, I think by, focusing more on that aspect of it, something gets lost. The magic of the Ghibli magic gets lost. Also, the main lead isn't as strong as Miyazaki's other protagonists in the past.
But to be fair, usually his protagonists are kind of vessels to put the narrative along. I don't think this, other than maybe The Wind Rises, the dramatic thing through line for his characters aren't the central point of the story. At least for me, it wasn't really. It was always kind of the world around it. And here, I just unfortunately was like one of the more like the less interesting worlds that he's created. But
it's still beautiful as hell,
Yeah.
right? Because he definitely plays around more with like groups, with like hordes of characters, and I was really surprised by that animation wise. Also, the fire, it does something with blur, with motion blur in this movie, which I also again like that still shows he has a lot of creativity and original stuff inside him, right? So that's all still top tier. But actually, Ewan, we have someone in here who hadn't seen a Ghibli film ever, and this was
the
her
girl and the
first.
Heron. Oh my god.
A Girl and the Heron.
Yeah. Well, that would have been my question as well. How familiar are you with Studio Ghibli?
Yeah, I never heard of him. I think it's a him, right?
Hayao Miyazaki.
You see, I know nothing.
Yeah. It's an old man.
It is an old
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You told me, Kevin. You told me. Yeah. I mean, it's not particularly my thing, but I'm gonna try to say this like good in English. It's hard to say this in English for me, but the movie is so good that I feel like I'm not capable to understand that level of goodness. Does it make sense?
It makes sense.
I can see that this is so good, but I just
Can't comprehend it.
Yeah,
I think
voila.
that's fair because
voilà.
like I watched the film and immediately I was like, there's someone's like, at least to me, there's someone who could maybe see what he was trying to go for a bit better and then explain it to me a bit more for me to understand it,
Yeah.
because at parts it was just, Studio Ghibli movies do have those really weird moments that just go by, and you don't really question it. You're just kind of immersed in the world in the best case scenario, and I feel like it lacked that drive where I was actually like anticipating what's coming next. It was just kind of dragging me along in the story.
Mhm.
Definitely need a rewatch. Definitely need someone to kind of tell me what's there to appreciate about it a bit more as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of like I binged through all of the Studio Ghibli films 3 years ago because pretty much all of them came onto Netflix and they're really available now. And I feel like also the adaptation that's coming to theaters later this year has like the craziest cast, like with the dubbing that they're doing for the States.
Oh yeah, I did see it. Like Robert Pattinson, like bruh,
It's just
crazy.
only like big A-list people, no one else.
Yeah.
And I mean, Disney, I think, has kind of done a lot of the distribution in the States. That's why like a lot of it is really, really stacked in the voice casting. But I mean, it's always a great thing that they nail in the original version as well. Yeah, that's it for the gala premieres.
Wait, huh? No.
Wait, you want to add something?
No. I'm like, oh, we're just now done with the gala.
Yeah, it just
oh my
hasn't
God.
been the whole festival, and I just
Yeah.
told you it's gonna be a long thing.
So now, official competition. The official competition, the movies that were up for the Grand Prix, with the international jury, with such members as Lucas Dont. The first movie is an actual A24 movie, All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt, and it is very much an A24 film, if you want to call it that, because that's just that type of thing to do now. It's about the suburban black neighborhood, and it is a very it's a very tender movie. A lot of hand shots, a lot of lingering shots on the hands, on the body, on the legs, to really show the blackness of this neighborhood, of the family. It's also a non-linear story. We sometimes go from very old. This movie really reminded me of a Barry Jenkins movie. It's not on the same height as
If Beale Street Could Talk.
Beale Street Could Talk. I don't think it's on that height. It's more on the, maybe a bit controversial because I think Moonlight is a bit overrated, but I think it's on the same level as Moonlight in terms of storytelling, in terms of, lingering shots, the tenderness. Because people embrace in this movie together a very beautiful movie, non-linear story. You shift from perspectives, and also it's just a solid, again, in that tier of solid movies at Gent. Next up, we have Astrakan. Talking about child performances, you would hate this one, Ewan, and so did I. Because, this one is not good. It's about this kid, orphan, who has to go to live in this family. He's a bit of a brat, but the family has to keep this brat because, he brings in some cash and they need it. But again, the kid is absolutely not likable, and maybe the director will, if I ever make a review, the director will comment on it. But that's that's supposed to be. No. I did not like this movie. It's in the lower tiers. Skip. Then we go to Critical Zone, which is like, I'm rushing through it, man. Oh, yeah, Augur, Omen, I'm going to see that one on the online thing.
We'll talk about it later.
I missed it. But it's a Belgian selection, and I've heard some very excellent things about it from people I trust. So I do think it will be a very good movie. Critical Zone, it's a movie of Iran. We have a guy who's a driver, who's basically a bit of a handyman, but he's also a drug dealer in Tehran, Iran. And I called the movie Drive My Dope. Definitely did not steal that from anyone else.
My joke.
Yeah, it was your joke. Some very interesting shots. Both Ines and I have seen the opening shot of this movie about 5 times because it's this ambulance shot of people coming in, and it keeps going and going. It's very like a camera gets put on the car or on the steering wheel or on the top of the car, and we will stay there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it isn't great, but it's another solid Iran movie. It's also a German co-production, so it just shows Iran knows what kind of movies to make and what they need to say or talk about. Solid but not great. Some annoying characters, like one woman with scream "Woo! Yeah, fuck you!" Kept going on for 3 minutes. I'm like, I need some Dafalgan, next one we have here, which Ines and I both have seen, so I'll now give the word to her. We also skipped over Los Delinquentes, which did win the Grand Prix, but I also think it won the prize because, if you win the prize, you get a bit of a distribution money, and I never think they would give that to Poor Things or to one of the other bigger movies in here. So I always think a smaller movie would win the Grand Prix, and I just happened to have missed it. So did Ines. I don't think Ewan has seen it.
No, I also missed it in Zurich because it's another one of these 3-hour plus movies. It's, I think, the Chilean submission. For the Oscars, and I mean, from the reception so far, it might have a shot being shortlisted at least. That's what I heard too. And then we go to Here, which is the new movie of Bas de Vos, who used to be my teacher at my 1-year film school. Hi. He was solid. He was solid teacher. Here, I'll let Ines do the talking. I've done
I don't have much to say. Just with the Sweet East, I didn't get it. There was no plot, so it wasn't my thing. I didn't enjoy the movie. To me, it was a very long movie because I wasn't in it, so I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't my thing.
Here, so you got this guy, this Romanian worker, who is leaving in a couple of days in his car because it's the work. He's a construction worker, so it's a construction holiday, and we see this guy. He needs to fix his car, so he goes around in the neighborhood. He walks a bit. He needs to empty his fridge, so he makes some soup. And honestly, he became a bit of the soup man, and that aspect intrigued me the most. Just him walking around Brussels, just going to random people, talking. That aspect interests me most. But then you also get this nature aspect of the movie of Brussels, because Brussels always gets shown as this chaotic city, and here it's mostly about the still life in nature or in the chaotic cities that you can find. But I found that aspect to be less interesting, while some people actually love that aspect of it at Ghent. So it is another okay, fine movie, good movie, and some people love it. So if you want to go see it, then do. Next one is Io Capitano, which we both saw at Venice, Ewan.
Yep. It's a movie that came out at these festivals.
It's a movie.
And
yeah.
It's Matteo Garrone. Pretty good.
Pretty
Nothing
good.
else to say. I think.
Nothing else to say. Go see ours Venice. Because, yeah, we've already covered it. Then we go to Past Lives. Ines, take it away.
Past Lives. I mean, when you have a movie that plays out in New York, you're already like one step ahead for me. I love New York, so that was already great. But it was so beautiful. That's the word I can use. There were so many silent moments, but those silent moments were very clear to me as a viewer, what was the meaning behind it, and what the characters were thinking was very clear. It was a tender movie. I found comfort in this movie, and I also was thinking to myself, what would I do? But that thought only was like really a lot to think of. So I was like, I'm not gonna think about it. But it was a beautiful movie, great story, and there was a great chemistry between those the two actors.
Well, the three actors actually got a special mention of the jury at Film Fest Ghent. So they got a special mention, like Greta Lee, Theo Yor, and John Magaro all got a special mention from the jury. Funnily enough, there's also like a tree metaphor in this movie, because like at a certain moment they discuss Greta Lee characters talks to Theo's character about, oh yeah, but me and my husband also argue, but it's more because like two trees planted in the same pot, and our roots have to find each other's place yet. And I really like that metaphor. So it's a bit complementary to Perfect Days in some aspects of that. But yeah, Past Lives is great. It's the before sunrise of this century, if you want to call it.
Yes.
It's the best romance movie.
I will call it that. Yes. Thank you.
Then Yoon has nothing more to say.
No, we already did a full-on spoiler review for this one on the podcast a while back. It was my favorite film of the year. It's like right up there with Perfect Days for me. It's like they're pretty much the same. There's a lot of it, the In-Young part and how it's like used sometimes as like she just uses it to kind of flirt with a guy, or then it actually that rings some truth. Like all of these cultural things that we sometimes use to describe something in a certain culture, then they can be used in so many different ways. And I feel like it's the same as language evolves, it's also culture always evolves, and the people within it. And I feel like this movie also captures that in a way. I really love Past Lives, but I'm curious to see this is debut feature, by the way, which is incredible. She already has her next one lined up. It's going to be another A24 film, so Materialists. Looking forward to what Celine Song has in store next. Poor Things. I really want to know from Ines what she thinks about this, because obviously Kevin and I have already talked about it pretty extensively.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, I'm not a huge fan on surrealistic types of movies. A bit of can I say that it's a bit of sci-fi as well? I don't know. It's a bit. Yeah. It's in general. It's weird. So like I said, I started this movie. I thought I didn't read anything about the movie, so I thought it was going to be a fairy tale. Mm-hmm. And once it started, I kind of got that vibe. But then I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. But then I got used to that weirdness, and like I said, from that moment on, I just enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the movie from beginning to end. I didn't want it to end, and yeah, we can't review this movie without talking about Emma Stone. I didn't know that she could do this, honestly, because I've never seen her act these type of roles before. She's insane. She might be like right now one of my favorite actresses just by showing this that she can do this. I mean, you're a good actress if you can do like plenty of types of characters, and she's one of them.
I mean, a great body of work, we should say. You could say.
Yeah.
Great body of work and a great body at work. That's not meant in a reductive way, but it's like she puts all of herself into it, and I feel like it really translates. Like, it's not just a face acting; it's everything. And she, like, the progression she does is it's masterful. It's a masterclass.
And it was also so funny.
Yeah,
the movie was really funny.
Oh yeah,
it's honestly it's a mismatch of every genre, and it's hilarious. I will say on my rewatch, Willem Dafoe. I loved him even more in the second viewing, and maybe the third viewing, which is tonight at this time of recording. I really want to. I'm gonna watch it 3 times if I can. It comes out in February. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Nice. It's fantastic, honestly. And the things you said, like the closest Emma Stone got to this type of role was with The Favorite, and now I'm glad Emma Stone has become Lanthimos' muse, and I can't wait to see what they do next, because they shot already some things or have like already things down the line. I can't wait to see what they have next.
Yeah. And next up we got the Siren. All 3 of us caught this one. I caught this at an industry event back in August in Locarno. I think it's fine to talk about it now. Again,
I think we already did 3 out of 5, so it's like
exactly. We're kind of in the middle here. It's an animated film about southern Iran in 1980.
It is topical. It is topical now.
I mean, it's been if you want to argue that that's been topical for the last 20 years then, but just a bit more now, and it's just like it's really frustrating to see. It's such it's obviously like a different conflict here, but still one that is really close by, and basically just the beginning stages of the Iran-Iraq war. I think that part it does well, that it doesn't really give you, I think, a lot of context to the war and everything. It just kind of throws you in, which I think is to the strong suit of a movie like this, where you don't need all of the geopolitical things around it. You need to see the people within it that like are suffering under it. And I think for that, I think it nails it. I might have liked it because it's so topical right now. Might have liked it even more if I had seen it more recently. But yeah, what did you think about it, Ines?
I didn't really like the style of the animation.
Agree. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I didn't really like that. It does a lot to the story, and it does a lot with the feeling that you have as a viewer with the story and everything. And I also felt like the story was a bit of like how do you say oppervlakkig, Kevin?
On the surface, like very surface, like
there were many things going on, but they could have done more with it. I mean, I have to say, in the beginning of the movie, especially with the current situation going on, the war, I was prepared for this movie. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna watch this one. It's gonna be interesting. And I was a little bit disappointed, but especially the animation style. It did a lot. It didn't perform well.
I animation is expensive, and that is known, right? Animation is expensive, so sometimes you have to do shortcuts in your animation, and the goal is to hide those shortcuts. This movie doesn't do that a lot. Like, you can see, like, you have the explosion, but sometimes in like car chases or the shortcuts are apparent. And at a certain point, the movie also becomes kind of like a video game. So it becomes like, oh yeah, you have to go talk to that person. Oh yeah, he goes to that person. Oh yeah, so now you have to go to talk to that person. So it becomes very video game-esque and kind of repetitive to obtain your final objective, get a boat. And it's like, like something feels missing. So like just some depth structurally in the script. But it is an alright movie. It is a good movie to show, to kids now, because that is the target audience, I hope. So it's alright.
Yeah, it's. I mean, maybe not for really young kids, but yeah, something in schools later on that.
Yeah,
that's
that's what I
great
mean.
stuff. Yeah, I feel like although it's a very different type of movie, the next one, Smoke Sauna Sisterhood, would also be like well, it would make a lot of people uncomfortable. You probably shouldn't do that much nudity in school. Never mind, I take that back. Wait, I think you both haven't seen this one yet.
I haven't seen this
Yeah,
one. No.
okay, so we'll talk about it.
I'm gonna catch it online.
Then at the end, if you go even further in this recording, we'll talk about it. But yeah, we'll skip over it right now. Sweet Dreams.
Oh, Sweet Dreams! It was for a long time in my top 10, and it is a great movie. It's it's a movie from Netherlands. We're neighbors to Netherlands, Belgium. I haven't seen. To be fair, I haven't seen a lot of Netherlands movies. But most of them suck, man. They are horrible, right? And like whenever I see one, I'm like skip. But I can finally say they got a good one and a fun one, a absurd one. This movie is about some a very rich white Dutch family in India. They got a factory there.
In
What?
Indonesia?
It's in Indonesia? Oh, yeah, in Indonesia. Oh, sorry. You got this rich white family, but the grandparent dies, so the son comes, and apparently the unofficial son inherits, the factory, the house, and then you got this like tension, and like this boy is 9 years old, right? And it's like you got this kind of like absurd. What is it, like 17th century or something, like 18th century, kind of succession family member being like, this is my right, and it's so funny, and it's shot in 4:3 format. That's also a thing about this film festival. A lot of movies in 4:3
Not
format.
as much in black and white then as it was in Venice.
Not much in black and white. 4:3, like a lot. But Sweet Dreams is a very fun movie. I hope it gets shortlisted, maybe sneaks in the top 5. I know the competition is heavy, but it was such a fun movie, man. Please go watch it if you can.
But I guess it was the Dutch submission for the Oscars.
It is the Dutch submission,
okay. Yeah. I'll try and catch this as well. All right, so that brings us to the last like big section. We'll try and go over these probably a bit shorter than we've did the rest of them, but there's a bunch of good movies still in it. And that's for the official selection. Kevin, do you know what the difference is here apart from like the are they just like out of competition films essentially?
No, it's just like the official. I guess it's kind of like horizontal. Like I don't know. It's just movies that are there.
But a bit smaller then
a bit smaller.
Okay.
Smaller. I mean, you say smaller, but then movies like Close Your Eyes are in there.
To be fair, that also wasn't part of the competition in Ghana. There was already a big thing there.
Oh, well, yeah, I think it's just movies that are kind of more out there than the others.
Well, let's start with the first one. Have you seen All Colors?
No, we haven't seen All Colors of the World. We haven't seen Art College. You have seen Blackbird, Blackberry, if you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, there should be an interview with the director up on the channel as this episode is out. Go check that out if you want to hear me talk to the director. And I think it's a really solid film about like a lady who runs a shop. She wants to retire. She's trying to live a solitary life because she likes it, and there might be someone who is kind of breaking the norm that she has established for herself when she like kind of has a thing with the guy who is her delivery driver. It's just a really charming performance. The lead is really good, and I was quite surprised by this one. Quaint little story, can recommend. And then Art College, I think I'll see later this month again at the Geneva Film Festival. But
I'll try to see that one online too.
So we'll talk about it then. And The Breaking Ice. You were really happy that I caught this one. Thanks to Trigon here in Switzerland, who sent me a screener, because this also played at the Zurich Film Festival. Anthony Chen. And Ines, you caught this one as well. So what did you think about this one?
I thought it was a very beautiful movie to watch. It was melancholic, and I really like melancholic movies and those type of vibes. The only thing, oh yeah, I also like the setting and the I don't remember really how it was called, the city.
Yeah, Yanji.
It was close, yeah, it was close to the border with North Korea, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So it was all snow. It was really, really cold, and we watched the screening where the director Anthony
Anthony Chen,
yeah, he came after, so he gave a little bit of context, and he was talking about like minus 20 degrees Celsius or something.
yeah.
That he was filming in those weather conditions. So that was really impressive, and it was beautiful on the screen. The only thing perhaps I didn't like as much was the fact that they were three main characters. I think it would have been better if it just focused on the relationship between two of them. But I'm not sure. That's maybe like a personal preference that I would have liked. Maybe like if they would have gone more into depth with the two characters, it would have been like a much deeper and like a less forced way, maybe. I don't know. Something like that, yeah. But the director also told us where the idea came from, and it came from COVID and being in quarantine. So yeah, Kevin, maybe you can say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the director said so he shot two movies, right? And he said that this one is more of a like a vibey film compared to his other movies, which are more of a like sociological movies. So this one was more of a movie like he had to like kind of shake out his body after COVID, just to get another film made to do something, right? And so he said like this movie is based on his feeling during the pandemic, and I can kind of see that because there are three main characters, and you got one character who kind of wants to stay there, who kind of wants to stay in. You have one character who wants to escape from their kind of like like house, and you have one from their like other place, and you got one character that kind of wants to leave everything behind, right? So you got those three conflicting feelings kind of portrayed in three main characters, and that I really liked. Also, I'm a sucker for great landscapes, so like even about dry grasses, all those movies in mountains, everything, like I'm a sucker for those. They were beautiful. I did wonder sometimes, because this is Anthony Chen's first movie made in China. I kind of got the feeling, because they go to at the end of the movie, they go to a very like beautiful touristic place, and I'm like, did China commission him to make a movie around that area? Because he had never been to that area, but sometimes it feels like they commissioned him to make a movie around that, because that would be a Chinese thing to do. But no, also major props to the score of the movie. This is the first time he's worked with a composer, and apparently he just found a composer on Spotify during the pandemic. He just contacted him, and it just like came out of the blue of them two working together. So really good job with the score, because I really like the score. And yeah, I like the movie a lot, but his explanation of the movie definitely made me like it much more. What did you think about it, Ewan? Because you catch it very last minute.
Yeah, I caught this, I guess, on my small screen right in front of me here, and I think the poster for the film is one of the best ones I've seen all year. I think that embrace between those three characters is there's maybe not as much bi energy that as you might want to attribute to the film. That's not really about that, but there's so much empathy, just as like a loose currency high on inflation there, just like handed out all the time between those three. And I really like that there was just something nice about it, where I mean, all the context that you now gave us with I guess being a COVID movie, and it's kind of all against that. It's all like opposed to that. It's like all about connection when you are lonely, and I think it captures that really well. I didn't like some, again, I don't like big moments, especially in these small dramas. I do like when they don't really feel the need to end on a big climax, when the whole movie has kind of been smaller. But it takes like a lot to don't do that, because then people say, oh, nothing happened in the story. But I feel like this one, I mean, it doesn't do like a big explosive thing, but
No.
it still feels like that there's one big moment that I already knew where the character was at, that I didn't need that push. I think overall really solid. If you haven't seen any of his work, then I mean, definitely a recommendation on my end as well.
I will say good job on you for not saying it's about a love triangle, because that was also not the director's intention.
No, it's not.
Because which many people did ask about, and also there is one arc in the movie about a fugitive, and apparently that situation was going on during the pre-production and the first day of shooting, and he felt kind of inspired to put that in the movie, but the fugitive did get apparently because he did get caught, and like in the Q&A it's like, oh yeah, and like he got caught a few days into the shooting of this movie, and yeah, he's probably dead. Like the whole theater got quiet there, because like, oh yeah, he's probably dead, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh.
I feel like
cool.
that was something that was like a recurring thing, where I was like, I don't know how completely it fits into the narrative, but it somehow fits really well. And
Yeah,
there was an odd thing that the struggles that these characters are going through, and then there's like this other guy on the edge, where you don't feel like his crime as warrants like that type of the literal warrant on him, to bring him in.
yeah.
But yeah, overall really good movie. Oh shit, I do need to restart my camera thing again. I got my notification. All right, Kevin, talk about close your eyes.
Close your eyes. Ewan has seen it, so also has seen it, so we will talk about it after I do. Cerrar los Hoyos, as the Spanish title is a film from the master filmmaker Victor Ariz, which hasn't made a film in like 3 decades. And this is another movie in the solid/good movie tier list of Gent. I like the main character. I like that he is at a conflict in where he is in life, and he's looking back at one certain aspect of his life, which is because he's a director, as an unfinished film, and in some aspect it feels a bit like a fablement, in some aspect it feels like a cinema paradiso, but it never goes for both themes of those two movies. It very much stays a thing of its own. There are long shots, there's lots of long dialogue, and sometimes it lost me a bit, but overall I think it's a good movie with inspirational themes about film, although the ending did feel a bit, like, oh, it's done, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. But it's very much a director, like, talking about, do I not have any regrets of maybe making more movies, or having done something more with the format, which is really inspiring. I don't know what you think about it, Ewan.
I think it was a lot of stuff just went over my head in a way, because I'm not as familiar with his filmography. Like, I haven't seen The Spirit of the Beehive. I've seen
and it is a 3-hour epic too, so like,
yeah, and I do like a lot of like the time it takes for the characters, but like it is a really long movie, and it's one where I kind of felt the length at times quite a bit, and
Same.
it's a hard one to prep yourself for mentally, because I know that, like, for Ceylan with About Dry Grasses, like stuff like that, I've watched like one of his films before, so I kind of knew what to expect, but I haven't seen one of his films that are like this long. I don't know if he's done anything that's like this length, and it's I think again, it's like one of these films that I think are great. I just didn't experience the greatness. I just thought it was quite well done.
A bit like Ines with How to Have Sex, like the same type of feeling.
Well, I don't want to speak for Ines. I think she also said some other stuff that wasn't like about that I don't know. Like it's at this point in the recording where my brain is turning into mush, and I don't know anymore. So I think we should move on to She Is Conann. You're the only one who
She's
caught this
Conan.
one.
You know what? Talk about original movies, right? We saw this after Along Came Hate, right? And
Along Came Hate.
talk about talk about a movie with a vision. You know, like this. There are a lot of clear as daylight inspirations, right? It's definitely based on Dungeons and Dragons. It's got inspiration from The Green Knight, Martyrs, Street on Fire. There's like one segment that screams Street on Fire from Walter Hill, if I recall correctly. There were a lot of walkouts with this one, Ewan. A lot of old people did not vibe with the energy and the creativity of this movie, which I can completely get. It's very much a thing of its own. It has a very niche audience. I know one other person who watched Conan, Kyria is her name. Like, she gave it 5 out of 5. I know it was her type of shit. And so, the story did remind me a bit of La Bête, because at the core of the story is this, this lesbian couple throughout the centuries. You got this Viking medieval era, you got these Streets on Fire, 70s, 60s, 80s kind of vibe. And then you got, in the future, a very futuristic vibe. And, the people transform in physical appearance, like one person is like a hound, like a wolf, like a dog, she got like a dog face. It is like very absurd. It's very out of there. I would kind of compare it with like Titan from like Julia Ducournau. Like, it's very much in that type of lane. Right. And it's more a movie I respect than love, but I do love the fact that such movies like these exist. So I would definitely recommend it. Like, at the end it does get a bit muddy, and I'm like, there is a perfect 90-minute movie in here, but it does keep going on for quite a bit. But I do have to admire it, that like I do admire the movie the whole way through. So then we got Eureka, which is also one of the movies I watched. I love 3/4 of the movie, and this movie is separated in 4 connected stories, which I do love. Eureka is also the movie I watched the morning of Killers of the Flower Moon, and the 2 stories in the middle are about a reservation. You got this cop who is kind of like, just making sense of this area, because there isn't much backup. She's got to cover a whole type of land, much like Wind River, but from an actual like indigenous cop perspective. You got this indigenous student, which at some point, if we had a button on us to that would just make us commit suicide like that, we would have all done it by now. But because it's so hard, there are people that are still here, and that is like kind of like a great companion to Killer of the Flower Moon. And also it's like Killers of the Flower Moon is like in 100 years ago, and Eureka is like in this part. So I really like that aspect. Also, the movie starts out with a western. I love westerns. Viggo Mortensen, I want to see more of him as a cowboy, but I know he's also directed a western, so I'm looking forward to that. I know some people will hate this movie because this movie is quite long, and the end story isn't as great as the 3 stories that come before it, but it does thematically still make sense, but it's just not going to be everyone's type of movie. But I really liked it. It's in the same good movie tier of Gent. So yeah. Then we got Inshallah a Boy, which Ines, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Kevin. So yeah, like I said, Inshallah a Boy was my number 4 in my top 5. What can I say more than I already said? It's the theme that really was interesting to me. Also, the leading actress Muna Hawa, her performance was great. Just the fact that we get to see a little bit inside of these countries in the Middle East. I think we don't get to see as often. So that was great to me. And also good to know that this was his debut movie. So that means I think this guy is gonna bring so much more. And also it was no, I'm messing it up with Shayda. It's
Yeah.
I'm messing it up a bit with the other one. But yeah, good movie. I want to see it again. I want to watch it with my mom. I want to watch it with my aunt. I want to watch it with uh all kinds of women because this is a movie for us women, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Do you?
What Lachlan
You
said
go.
back
You
in
go.
Gun when he saw this, he said like it made him wanna go back home to Australia and hug his mom because he'd know that she would fight like just as hard for him as well. It's like it's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. That was really, and also there was a little bit of humor,
Mm.
and I'm not used to that in these kind of movies.
Right.
So that part I really liked, because the leading actress, every time she would walk home, there was this guy sitting, like this little boy sitting on the street, and she was carrying a purse, and he would always say, "Oh, how much I would love to be that purse, to be hanging on to her." And then like the fourth time at the end of the movie, he says that, and she stops, and she goes back, and then she punches him with a handbag. He was like, "Oh, how much I would love to be your handbag," and she's like, "You want to be this handbag? Okay." And then she punched him. So that was funny. No, it's a great movie.
Well, my question was gonna be: do you want to see Late Night with the Devil with your parents and family, perhaps?
No. No, but I do have to say that this movie was so good. I'm not into horror movies, like not at all. It's torture to me. I would only watch it if I was with a group of friends and we would just like would like to have a laugh. But I never take them seriously as well. Like the most of the horror movies I've seen are really bad, but this one was just so good. And especially like with the talk show vibes and everything, I love that so much. And yeah, the leading role, the actor, sorry,
David Dasmalchian, yeah.
amazing, great job.
Like, yeah, if you watched any, like movies last 10 years, the chance of him showing up in a supporting role is actually quite huge, and he nailed it every time. But finally here he is in a leading role, and he's so good at it. He like kind of like he enhances, he embodies the charisma of a late night talk show host. Like, I especially felt like the set and his energy was kind of matching Jimmy Fallon's, if we're talking about modern talk show hosts, because I haven't seen much 70s late night, right? So my reference is at the moment Jimmy Fallon. But yeah, it's absolutely great. This late night show host needs to boost his numbers, so he does so on Halloween by inviting a couple of guests who are very insane in their respective character, I guess. And at the end, great 70s effects, very practical effects too, which are fantastic. Late Night with the Devil is probably the best horror movie I've seen this year, alongside Talk to Me, which means Australian horror cinema has been excellent this year, because this one is from Australia too. One of the directors, one of the brothers showed up. He had absolutely great energy, very much like the person who introduced the movie. Absolutely fun time. Go see it.
Yeah, it almost made it onto your top 5, right? It's one of the highlights.
It does. It's in the top 10. It's just because you see all these dramatic movies, and then here's a movie which is absolutely a blast. So it was like a much needed relief, honestly, between all of the movies. But I don't know if Ines had much fun with Riddle of Fire as Late Night with the Devil.
No, I did not. um I just couldn't get into
What
it.
as kids in this?
I
Yikes.
it was, no, I didn't like it. It wasn't my thing. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I also wasn't like an adventurous child. Like the things that would happen in this movie, I was like, ugh, I would hate to play with these children. Even back.
Maybe y'all have something in common.
Dude, rebellious kids are so annoying. Just like get a grip.
They're
Grow
so
up,
annoying.
you 5-year-old. Be a person.
It was so annoying.
Yeah.
I did not like it. I slept. I was like, at some point, I was like, okay, I'm not even that tired, but I'm going to sleep right now. It was by choice. Most of the time when I fall asleep a bit, it's because I'm that tired. But during that movie, I was like, no, I cannot. And even we watched the screening and the director was there, and immediately after the movie, I was like, Kevin, we're going. I'm not even interested in this. I'm not. I'm really sorry.
You know
And he was in the movie as well.
He was in the movie as well, yeah. His acting is not the greatest. But, you know, it's quite funny when the loudest laugh you get out of me during the screening is Ines sleeping. Honestly, it was... Because in this theater, right, you have some, like, comfy seats. So you have, like, 2 seats and then you have, like, little tables next to them. So when I turn around and I see... No, Ines is always like this, right? She's like this on the table, like that's fine. But this time, her head was on the table, and you know her tote bag of the film festival was in front of her, and I was laughing because this time I knew for sure she was sleeping. Like sometimes when she's like, I can't quite tell, but for this one I knew. And the fun thing is, at some point in the film, right, DJ music starts playing, and Ines wakes up, right? She wakes up. Hella confused, stares at the screen and sees these rebellious kids just awkward dancing. And she was so confused, and that's when I laughed the loudest. Oh, it's amazing. But about the actual movie itself, wait, what do you say, Ines?
I said I'm glad you had fun laughing at me.
Honestly, yeah. But now this movie, the opening 30 minutes, 40 minutes are actually quite good. You know, you got these 3 kids, and the youngest kids, like, he doesn't speak English very well, so it's like subtitle, but like hardcore subtitles in the movie, which is quite funny. I thought there was quite some humor in that aspect. And, you know, the journey these kids have to go through because they want to play video games, but there's a password on the TV.
Oh, it's so relatable.
And yeah, so, you know, they go do this little quest, right? And that's the fun aspect of it. And then it turns into this really weird, like it's channeling the energy of those like Friday the 13th, like those later entries, like really crappy campy slasher movies. It's not a slasher, but just the vibe of those movies. It like channels those, and that's where the movie completely lost me. There's also like this huge guy who really matches like the red and Link energy. He does not act very well. He's just a tall dude. Oh, hey, like it's wow. Yeah, now the movie fell off quite bad, but I did have a lot of fun with the kids who are great with it, especially. No, except one kid who is like very weird. Like she's supposed to be like this witchy kid. Like Ines looked at me at one point like, bruh, this girl. Like you know which one I'm talking about?
No.
No, like you had the daughter of the cult.
Oh yeah. Oh, she was so annoying. Everything was annoying to me. Everything,
yeah. So I guess go watch this movie if you want some 80s energy feeling, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm after that one movie, I forgot, Endless Sunday or whatever in Venice.
Oh!
I'm through with annoying people. Just get them off my screen. I mean, I don't know. You probably didn't tell Ines, but the director commented on one of my reviews because it was a pretty harsh review.
No.
No. What did
he basically
say?
was pretty well. I don't know. It felt like he was trying to explain a bit, but then also like he ended it with like one of those kiss emojis. So it was like obviously. He wasn't obviously happy with what I wrote.
Yeah, like, oh, but that's what the movie's supposed to do.
Yeah,
Remember that one scene
where the
movie
the douchebag is an absolute at its peak douchiness, and I was like, yes, I know it is the douchebag is a douchebag, but it's just like you can't. That's the substance of the movie. They're all bad, and
yeah,
I think sometimes some filmmakers are like, hey, we don't want all of this whitewashed, simple hero's journey, so we just are depicting sticks, and that's what Martin Scorsese does as well. Like his characters are layered and they're difficult. They're not the heroes. They're just people, and sometimes they go a bit far where it's just like, oh, they're just sticks. There's no actual like interesting part about it. It's my least favorite type of movie.
I did realize Killer of the Flower Moon isn't in the gala premieres.
Oh, it's not. Well, hey,
No,
Scorsese
because we
gets
skipped it.
pass. Well, we haven't talked about Killers yet.
No, we haven't talked about Killer of the Flower Moon yet.
Well, shit. I mean, by the time this is out, we do have our like main review for it in the on the podcast as well. But I guess you mentioned it in your top 5. Do you want to say anything else about it? Otherwise, yeah.
Quick Killer of the Flower Moon. I guess I did say like, you know, it's like a movie by a master, and it very much channels, you know, the same greatness as, you know, the Godfather movies, etc. But the one thing I do want to say, you know, how bold Scorsese is to open this movie with like great opening rock tracks.
Yeah.
You know, because like it's like these Osage get represented, like when they, you know, discover the oil, they get represented as these rock stars, this booming town, and again with the score, like it really shows like Scorsese is so energetic. He still at like, you know, he's 82, like 80, like it's insane. I loved Killer of the Flower Moon. I guess I'll let you talk about it more on another episode, but just a quick
we'll have full-on spoiler thoughts for it, and I think there's a lot to talk about that we haven't yet, because we discussed it back in Gun. Since then, I think the dialogue around it, like some more context that I've been given from other people, has been really insightful on how we read the film, how it reads on a rewatch, how other people read it. I think it's a really, like, it only adds to it. I think the whole thing it feels like indulgent to go like, hey, this great filmmaker has made a really great movie, but it just did it again. I guess.
Roller Hotel, have you seen it?
Not yet, no.
I haven't seen Kitty Green's last movie, The Assistant, so I only had, you know, this movie to go on. I heard good things about The Assistant. I heard some good things about the Royal Hotel. One thing, the Royal Hotel didn't have subtitles, so a bit problematic for a hard of hearing guy with Australian voices. But I did like it. It's a bit repetitive because it's about these women that go to a, you know, like in the middle of nowhere hotel, and, you know, they have to you know, they are baristas basically, but, you know, they're dominated by males around them in the area who are working there, again as construction workers, etc. So it's an interesting study of that. But it's a bit repetitive. It just sounded
like an ad you get on like a funny website. You know, one of those that is usually like single moms in your area and was like dominating men in your area. Anyway, I think my brain is mush at this point. Sorry, but this film is also out on digital by the time this episode comes out.
So it's a good one. Yeah. It's a good thriller. Overall, it's just all right. Again, another in the tier. Then we watch Shayda, which I will leave the word to Ines because I gotta change the battery in my camera again.
Hey, you're breaking the immersion.
So Shayda, it was a powerful movie. It was good. The pace felt good. I think it was a co-production, or was it? It's an Australian movie.
Yes, that's a mission,
and
for the Oscars as well.
Yeah. It was really good. The main character, I think her name Zahra.
Zaramir
Ebrahimi.
She's great. Watched her last year in Holy Spider. She does so well playing these roles. And also it's very it's very interesting as well with the situation going on in Iran. It's only been like a year, I think, with everything exploding in the media. So it reminds you of the women of Iran. Very good movie. Liked it. Also, the little girl, the daughter, good actress. She did well. She was very, very good. I was really impressed by it because it's really rare to be convinced by children in movies, like child actors, actresses. And she did a good job, great job. So yeah, overall,
Thumbs up. Yeah.
I'm almost there.
thumbs up.
Yeah, Shayda, very good. Shayda, it does feel a bit repetitive at this time because we've also watched Tatami, which, funny enough, Zaramir actually co-directed Tatami, which I didn't realize at the time. So, but she's definitely got a passion around acting. Strong Iranian woman, right? And in Holy Spider, you got, she's a journalist. In Tatami, it's a coach. Here, she's an immigrant, like a refugee from Iran, kind of, to Australia, who has trouble with her husband because her husband is quite abusive. And, when you've seen the other movies, it does feel a bit, more of the same. And it's not as good as the other two. But Zaramir is honestly one of my favorite actresses working right now because, she knocks it out of the park every time. And Shayda is another good addition to her filmography, which I can't wait to see how that her filmography will evolve, and I'm really looking forward to see what she directs next because I was surprised when learning she co-directed Tótem.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one as well. Yeah, there's a couple of films that only I caught that I think you'll catch later on, so we'll have them at the end. But we did skip over the Rapture, Le Ravissement. I don't know if the interview is out yet, but I did do an interview with the director Iris Kaltenbach. Should be on the channel sooner than later. And then Youth as well, which I obviously didn't make either of you sit through this 1-star movie that is 4 hours long. I made Lachlan sit through it as well. He kept telling people in Gun that he was in the second or third row for this entire movie, and he kept complaining about his neck the entire way through the festival, and it was a painful experience. I don't know, because I was like upstairs and he was downstairs because you get ushered in to sections in Gun, and like you get on your ticket where you need to go, and so neither of us are people who go on their phones to check anything. That's just like a no. And so we couldn't tell if like either of us had left, so we weren't sure that like one of us was going to cover it for the festival, so we both stayed, and it was a painful experience. I think some people are going to really love this because they feel like, oh, this is such a fly on the wall experience, because this Wang Bing like follows these people for 5 years or something like that in this huge like production house, a workshop that like employs, what does it say, like 300,000 people? Wait, that's crazy. In that area, there's like a ton of these types of things, and it's about like the worker struggles that go up against the people who run the facility, but it's so much like the same thing over and over and over again because he skipped through these different people. And maybe that's me being mildly racist, but you never get introduced to anyone enough that I could remember them. So it was so confusing to see them because they're also like always in like a lot of clothes that all look the same. It was so hard to keep on track because there's also no through line, so there was no one I could attach to like being introduced, like, oh, this is the guy who's like into this girl or whatever, because a lot of it like was those type of shenanigans, but a lot of it was just like guys being really creepy and weird, and I had to, like, that's just 4 hours of that, and then a bit of like worker struggle. And it's just like, I don't know, it's one of the films that I regret sitting through, and it's changed our whole approach to the festival next year. Well, like when there's one of these big movies, either Lachlan or I will catch it, not the both of us. This was a complete waste of our time, and yeah, stay clear of that one.
I do feel like you finally got it out.
Dude, we talked about it a bunch in Gun as well. It was very frustrating because like there were some good 4-hour movies, crazy enough, like another documentary, because this is also documentary from Steve McQueen, Occupied City, is also like really long, and it doesn't feel like you should sit through it in one go, but it was way better than than Wang Bing's what was it even called? Youth in brackets spring. And it wasn't about spring at all. I don't know why it was called spring, but
I don't think we need to say more about the next two movies. Theater Camp, it's very fun. Theater movie. I really want Jimmy Tatro to just play dumbass for the rest of his life. He's very good at it. That's all I have to say about it. The Theorie van Allem, which we both found a okay sci-fi
I wanted
movie
it to be better.
with old Hollywood. Yeah, we both wanted it to be better, but the approach to its filmmaking is quite okay. Then we have Tótem, which is a movie only I saw, which is another movie in the just very good movie tier list, which is a 7-year-old girl. They go to a party. The father has cancer, so they have to wait around a bit to when he's prepared to make an appearance. But there were like weird plot lines. We got like a mother who's very like religious, and like she hires like a sort of like exorcist person to get rid of the evil spirits in the house, and sometimes it does feel a bit out of place. But overall, the kid in the movie is a very good actor, on the same level as 20,000 Species of Bees, on that very same level, so very, very good. I don't have much to say about that.
I guess it's also a submission for the Oscars for...
Oh, it is? Well, it's solid. I don't think it gets shortlisted, maybe shortlisted, but alright.
Yeah, for Mexico. But I think Theater Camp, we do have a full spoiler review for it up on our channel from 3 weeks ago. So if you want to hear me talk about it a bit more, I'm in the vibe for comedies at the moment. I feel like a lot of those have gone away, and I feel like we've gotten a bunch of pretty fun ones.
Well, No Hard Feelings, Bottoms, Theater Camp, like they're definitely back in some type of.
Yeah. I even like Joyride. I know a lot of people didn't like that.
Yeah.
I always have to fight against Lachlan because he's like, I don't know, he has got a really high standard for comedy. Low bar stuff also works for me. But I think that's pretty much it. Was there anything we missed?
That's the official selection done.
And we'll tag after this. We'll have like a couple of end tags of the stuff that you caught online. We'll record this later on before the episode goes out. But anything else you wanted to bring up? I guess there's a couple of other categories.
There are a couple of other movies. Scrapper, which is a really fun movie. It's not quite fun. Harris Dickinson plays a dad who comes back to his daughter in England, who kind of made a life of herself, avoiding child services, where Molly Manning Walker is the DP. That was a very fun movie to watch, which is in the kids' proof section. Then I also watched a movie, Onder de Blote Hemel, which is a movie from Netherlands, and that one sucked. I don't have much more to say about that one. Ryuichi Sakamoto Opus, it was the last day. It was the second last movie, and I felt cleansed of my fatigue by watching a guy play 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Can you understand now why I closed my eyes when I watched it in Venice?
I did close my eyes at some point. I get why. I get why.
I feel understood.
Then, because that's the music section, Squaring the Circle, the story of hypnosis, a very fun documentary by Anton Corbijn, who was, I believe, in your jury at Zurich.
I don't know, I don't pay. To be fair, maybe the jury is cool, people in it, but their choices historically suck so much in Zurich. Like, they're so bad at selecting what's actually good. Cool. That's nice.
But his documentary was a lot of fun. It talks about the posters for the most iconic albums made by Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, all that, and they had like a lot of good stories. Especially my Pink Floyd, like Animal Factory or Animals, with a little pig above the factory. That cover, I think, had the best story of them all. Sometimes they do rush to some album covers because there isn't much to say about those album covers except how they got made, and sometimes that is fun, but sometimes also it's quite just basic. Like there are a lot of pop stars in this, like rock stars. We got Paul McCartney, Roger Waters, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, Peter Gabriel. There's a lot of heavy names to have in your documentary. Really like that one. In my top 15 as well. Anselm, I watched it in 3D.
Me too.
I thought it would fit. I thought it would fit more in the IMAX format, honestly,
Right.
instead of the 3D. Yeah. But it's just gorgeous art, and I don't have much else to say about that. It's just a gorgeously shot Wim Wenders documentary, which doesn't have much more to say.
I don't think there's much to add. I mean, it's just like a portrait of this artist who is just like purely about expressing himself and not really caring how it's received. And I like there's this stuff in there that doesn't get explored as him as a person. It's way more about like the stuff that he creates, which I feel like ultimately is the more interesting part about artists. And like sometimes in media we get too caught up with the person behind it in a sense, but like that's all like all of the context around why they do something is more interesting to people, which it is really interesting, but the art speaks for itself, especially in his case. So I feel like it was just like nice to see on screen. And the 3D was I don't know why it was 3D, but it was like, okay, I get it. It looks.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of put off my 3D glasses sometimes because I kind of hate the glasses sometimes. It's like, oh no, it's just me. And because your eyes adjust, so sometimes you can just watch for a minute or two.
Yeah,
it's kind of
look, we do know, Kevin, that you have to put off the 3D glasses to put on your representation glasses. I since you mentioned that, I couldn't get the image out of my mind of you with really silly glasses, just like seeking like, what's the representation angle here? Is it well done?
And then we also watch Viva Varda, which means I can let Ines talk again because
Yeah, but I don't really have much to say about the documentary. It was there she is. There she is.
Wait, you got box set from directors too?
I don't know. I don't know what's the spit. I don't know what to do with this. Yes, I do.
Well, what did you think about Varda? Viva Varda.
I mean, it was interesting. I didn't know much about her. So it was very informative. It was a moment for me to learn about her and learn more about the industry years ago. So it was educational. Is that a word?
Yeah.
It was educational for me. Not really much to say about the content. It was just very educational for me. So
yeah. Sorry, my light just went off.
There is currently a ghost in Ewan's room. Nah.
This could be like a little part in the what's the movie called? Day and Night with the Devil?
Late Night with the Devil, yeah.
Late Night with the
Devil. That is actually a little straight part out of the movie.
I'm sorry, my lab just overheated because we recorded for so long. I'm in the darkness now. That's gonna be the line for the
yeah.
But we're pretty much at the end, right? There's one more.
Yeah, so also Viva Varda, very straightforward. Kind of feels like an academic made a 1 hour documentary in like a week's notice, which is very thorough because he's an academic student, but it's still like a very straightforward documentary. And then at the end we got Gift, which is the musical version of Evil Does Not Exist. I wrote quite a good review on my Letterboxd for that one, so I guess go read that one very quickly. But I do prefer Evil Does Not Exist, even though Gift does put on some very good substitutions of Evil Does Not Exist, especially during the town hall scene. The music there really portrays the anger that is brewing in the residents really well, and the meaning of the movie is a bit more apparent in the musical version. But the title of the movie, Gift, is definitely talking about Ryusuke Hamaguchi giving the footage of Evil Doesn't Exist, which is very poetically and naturally and naturally beautiful, to Aiko Ishibashi, who makes footage for her film. So beautiful movie. That's
tying that over to, I mean, that's all the films that we're going to talk about. But tying that over to, I guess, some of the stories from the festival is something that you want to bring up, something you want to show. This is the show and tell part of our school day today. Everyone come together in a circle and see the signature that he got from Ryozuchi Hamaguchi, right? Is that the... Okay.
Yeah. Here's the signature. It was the last day. That's how I end the film festival. I just quickly told him I'm a big fan of him and that he has the funniest line of the year. You know which line we're talking about, and that made him laugh quite a bit, which that made me happy. And of course, I got a signature from Ken Loach, which is just because "Sorry, we miss you" means a lot to me. And it was a very fun film festival. I'm glad to have spent it with Ines, which is a film festival too. So I don't know how she experiences or looks behind on it. Maybe she can elaborate more.
Yeah, for sure. It was an amazing experience, and I told you, Kevin, during the festival, like I do recognize that this is it's an experience that I get to do this. It's an opportunity, a great opportunity to do this. It was so much fun. I got to go back to my old place when I was studying in Ghent for 2 weeks. So I stayed there. I went with my bike every single day to the movies, and I enjoyed it so much. I actually also learned last year during the film festival in Ghent to appreciate going to the movies by yourself as well. It's like my little me time, and I loved it. And also it's not funny, but it's nice that I got to experience this. But I was actually running to Ferrari for the movie, Ferrari, and I was holding my food because we just got back from Shayda, and I was waiting for my food, and Kevin already went to Ferrari. So I was running with my Pokeball in my hand to the theater. And then all of a sudden, I walk into this woman, and as I wanted to go to the left, she also proceeded to go to the left. And then we went a little bit like this, and I was like, "Oh, sorry." And we were both laughing. It was Talia Ryder, guys.
Talia Ryder?
Talia Ryder, yeah. She was there with popcorn in her hand, and I just went like this, and then I realized, what?
I didn't like your movie.
It's true. I didn't like your movie. And then when I was walking, I was like, I mean, I should have said something. And then I was like, yeah, what were you supposed to say? I would have probably said, I liked your movie. And then I'm saying it. But what I did think about the movie is that her performance was great. So I can...
Yeah. This is your way out. This is your way out if she ever gets to see this.
Yeah.
Talia, we all like you a lot. It's maybe a bit too much on my end. No.
But I was so sad I didn't say anything. I was like, this was a good opportunity. And also I was waiting for Kevin outside the Film Fest cafe, and I looked into the cafe and I saw him talking to Anthony Chen from the Breaking Ice the movie. And I was texting him, are you talking to the director right now? Are you serious?
I definitely got out of my comfort zone talking to directors, like filmmakers. I hate networking, but just talking to your directors, like people who made the films you're watching. I do have gotten more of an appreciation for that. Talking to Ken Loach, just saying like, hey, absolutely love. Sorry we missed you. Really liked the church scene, to Hamaguchi talking about the funniest line, because you do want to say something personal to them and not just be like, hey, sign this, which some people do, and it's like, what the fuck, man, be a bit more, like, more effort, please.
But in the same way, the compliments are also something that you feel like it's hard to do that, not be the same as the person come before, when you're just trying to I don't know. It's like you just stagger the amount of praise you can give to someone, and it's hard to make that genuine. And I feel like from the responses, what you said or the responses you got, I feel like you got that part down, Kevin.
Yeah.
Just like anecdotes is usually the way to go in this, to not be awkward. But yeah, it's nice to be like a festival that really has the filmmakers and actors all just like, participating. There's not a ton that do it that way, and usually Venice and Cannes, they usually just chauffeured right to the theater, and then they go into the red carpet, and then if you stay for the Q&A, that's that. But I prefer it this way. It feels a bit more personal. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, we couldn't escape the 3-hour-long tag. It's just a curse with you, Kevin. You just I appreciate your input, but it does take a long time to talk with you about films. Which,
sorry, I'm passionate.
He is passionate.
Yeah, I have to talk into this camera because this camera just died. That's how long we've been recording.
But yeah, just like last time with these festivals, I hope you had a lot of stuff to put onto your watch list. And that's pretty much. I don't. There's nothing else. Go check out Ines and Kevin, all of the links below. I gotta look up like this. I'm actually lit. Go check out the podcast on all of the podcatchers. Leave a 5-star, leave a review. Tell us how great a job we did, and we'll maybe consider doing this in the future again. I don't know if we'll do another festival. Kind of on the verge right now, but if you leave a like right now and subscribe, we might consider it again. But no, in all seriousness, thank you so much for going in so hard again and watching so many movies, especially on your second year already, Ines, to getting you to watch 30 films. That's chapeau to you. And Kevin's just a degenerate. He just watches everything you put in front of him, and I appreciate that. So thanks so much. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
It was such a perfect podcast. I'm glad I spent it with you. Bye. No, outro? I don't know.
No. That's good. We'll just end it. Sometimes it's better to just end it.